This is for the sled dogs in the trenches. Real hockey parents, real stories. The good and the gong show. No filters, no sugarcoating, no politics. Just straight hockey talk and the best guests around the barn. Welcome to the Crazy Hockey Dads podcast. All right, boys, grind them corners, chirp responsibly, and bring that savage fire.
All right, everybody, welcome back to episode 76 of the Crazy Hockey Dads podcast, powered by Pacific Rink, the unfiltered podcast for hockey parents. No politics, no sugarcoating, just real talk for hockey parents in the trenches. Buddy.
Yo, welcome to another one.
Welcome to another one, and thank you to Big John Dangles for our awesome intro. You can check him out at Big John Dangles on Instagram. He's got some really, really cool stuff, so go check out BJD.
BJD.
But I feel like yesterday was a little bit of an insane day.
Yesterday there was a few moving pieces. So just to set the stage, we are officially on like summer hockey camp
mode,
whatever. Right. Last week you were at Penn State. Otto was skating locally up here for the week, and then both kids are now down in Princeton, where you still are. Nice sweatshirt, by the way. Go Tigers!
Gotta rep the Jersey Division I ice hockey, right?
New Jersey, that's what's up.
Go Tigers!
So anyway, full on with our summer hockey stuff. How was Penn State?
Penn State was a lot of fun. Not gonna lie, it was really cool. I guess if people are paying attention to some of our Instagram, story stuff over the last couple of days, Penn State was fun. We came up on when did we go? We went up Thursday.
After the event. After Mo's Smile.
Yes. Yeah. Which again was a tremendous event, by the way.
Unreal. Yeah. Again, shout out Larry, Longwood, all the people,
the
Memorial
family,
Sloan Kettering,
Memorial Sloan, Megan at Memorial
family.
Sloan. Yeah.
Right.
I mean,
all of it.
Everybody that came on with us, everybody that came out to support it, Dan Muse, Evan Rodriguez, we're not mentioning a gazillion people that also had a hand in it, to come out and support it. What an event. This is our first pod since that event, isn't it?
It is, yeah. And there was a bit more video footage than we normally take for any one pod. So it's taking just a little bit longer to clean that up and get it ready to go. And so we'll release that one next week, a recap of the event and everything that went on there. But yeah, got some great interviews. And again, what an unbelievable event.
Yeah, let's talk about that for a couple minutes.
Yeah, sure.
Yeah, that was pretty sick. I'm not going to lie. That was...
Yeah, and so for anyone that hasn't heard us talk about it, and I just want to shout out also or call out that the fundraising efforts are still going on, right? So for anyone that's listening to or learning about the event for the first time now, or was on the fence maybe about donating, you're still able to. And we participated last week in an event called Mo's Smile, which was a fundraiser for Joint? Is that the right way of saying it? I don't know. It's a little confusing, but like Memorial Sloan Kettering is part of it, and we were raising money for
like pediatric
children's pediatric cancer research. So if any, we can check out there's a link in our bio on our Instagram feed, so anyone can check it out. If you want to donate, by all means, we'd be more than happy to have people to continue to participate. But yeah, unreal event over at Longwood.
Yeah, it was really, the effort that went into putting that together, and it was the third annual, which again, we were thrilled and honored to be at. It was fantastic. I love what they're doing and what they're raising money for. We say this all the time, no parent should ever have to bury their child. Right. So any monies that go toward helping, save, any kid, from cancer down the road. We've all been touched by cancer probably in one form or fashion, right? When it's a child, it's like a whole nother level. It's awful no matter who it is, right? Whether it's a 90-year-old grandmother, grandfather, whether it's a parent, aunt and uncle, doesn't matter. But when it's a child, that's like a whole nother level, because that's not supposed to happen, So, and listen, everybody's genetics are different. Things happen. But if there's ways in the future where we can raise money, to save even one child's life down the road, then you know what? That's wonderful. Yeah. So like Scott said, please go check out the link in our bio. The event was unbelievable. The third annual, I hope we raised more money than the previous two. I think they're probably going to. Like you said, it's still ongoing. So I hope this event gets bigger and bigger and bigger and bigger and bigger every year. I hope in 10 years they're raking in several $1 million for the event. That would be tremendous.
And just to kind of go,
not cheap.
No, it's definitely not.
To solve, I'm saying, right? It's not. It takes money to solve all these diseases.
Without a doubt. And just to kind of like recap for the audience, like what this whole event was. So basically the day was full of hockey games, and it was basically 4-on-4, the rink at Longwood, which is, on a private property. I don't know the dimensions, but I would say it's probably, let's say it's like half an NHL rink.
I think that sounds right.
Fair, like around that. So in any event, it was 4-on-4, starting with mites, squirts, peewees, bantams, and then we got up to junior played with pros, right?
I think there was
after bantams.
There was a bantam, then there was like a midget game. There was a game after DOMS, and then the pro game was after that.
And then the pro game at the end, right?
Yeah.
So the teams that the kids that participated were local kids, as well as
sometimes not local. So we're like Florida kids.
No, they were local kids, right?
There were a lot of local kids. Yes.
There were kids from Florida, from Pennsylvania, from the tri-state plus, including like Florida, because of Longwood's affiliation with the Florida Surf and the Florida Breakers. And so the property was full of kids and families all day. The property was had all these different events or activities on the property, right? There were shooting lanes that were set up for the shooting for a cure. Yeah. There were bouncy castles set up for the younger kids. There was that one inflatable that knocks kids over when they try to jump or duck under the spinning arm at like Mach 7, which was hysterical.
Yeah. It was like a wipeout type of if you know the show Wipeout, it was like a wipeout type of apparatus.
Yeah, it was unreal. They had mini golf on the tennis courts. The kids, swing set was open, trampoline, pool. Pool house was full of food. There was a silent auction. There was a live auction. There was just there was us crazy hockey dads there taking interviews. And, it was just an unbelievable event for people all over the place, all different, skill levels. And, like we said, we had an interview with Dan Muse, head coach of the Pittsburgh Penguins, Evan Rodriguez, the newest New Jersey Devil, or one of the newest, if not the newest. So just really getting a chance to talk to professionals. It was just unreal.
It was unreal. It was just funny. I didn't even get over to see the mini golf and I didn't even get over that.
You didn't even peek over that way?
Scott, we were so busy. Like I didn't even get a chance to go over there. It was, okay. I got as far as the pool house. When I went to get some food, we were all so nuts that day. You and I got there at 7, and we didn't leave until 8:30 at night, right?
It was a long day.
Speaking of the auctions, I hope they raised a truckload of money at the auctions.
Somebody won some stuff there, Guy.
I did.
What did you win?
I did. I bid on 2 things. I bid on a USA Hockey signed Brady Tkachuk.
Sweet.
And I also bid right next to it was a USA Hockey signed Matthew Tkachuk. Won them both. So we're in the process of as soon as we get back from Princeton, I will go have them framed in shadow boxes. And they will then be adorned behind you and I in our studio. So right behind you is going to be a Matthew or Brady signed USA Hockey jersey. So that's the plan.
Right. And then you need to refinance your mortgage to pay your bills.
My card was not smoking when I paid for it, but listen, it's
joking.
It's all for a great cause. So I'm all for it. And you know what? It's for a great cause, right?
Yeah.
So
you know what I forgot to mention, and I don't know if you noticed, but so additionally on the property next to the pool house, they also had kind of carnival games set up, where like you could throw like, a baseball to knock over cans. There was like basketball hoops and like football,
I saw
like quarterback
almost like a skee ball-ish type game too.
There was, there was no stone left. And not only were all these all these activities there, but there was so much like, branding for Mo, right? Like his
everywhere.
Jersey number. They had cookies with like,
everywhere.
Like everything.
Ribbons of the colors
so first
that
class.
He wore. It was for that putting it mildly, first class. Yeah. It was the team that put that together. You have to hats off to everybody who had a hand in that, because it was ridiculous.
And you know what I loved earlier in the day, and I don't think either one of us knew that this was going to be part of it, but I don't know, let's just say after the Bantam game, maybe, which was probably capped off the first half to like, 2/3 of the day.
Yeah.
Then so the property is at the top of a pretty long and steep hill.
Oh yeah.
And they had a hill run where kids and parents
at 2 p.m.
walked all the way down to the bottom of the hill, and they all ran up. So it wasn't just it was about putting in the work. It was part of it was doing hard things. Part of it was reinforcing some of these life lessons that like we try to enforce with our kids. And so just so many awesome things throughout the day. And gave kids a lot of oh man, dude, I hate your
Sorry.
phone. This is the worst. But no, I think it also, started conversations with parents and their kids just about like, well, why are we here? What are we doing? We're raising money. We're giving back. Like this is part of what like, communities do to help one another.
Yeah.
And I think it was just like an introduction for some, just into philanthropy and charitable events and how, just little things, that might seem little to me or you can go a long way, for others. So.
Yeah. No, that would, and this, when you say hill, like this is some hill.
I mean, it is not a short hill.
No, this is.
I'd actually be curious to see how long it is.
It's not short. Like walking down. I think
Google map this.
Who did we interview? Did we interview Rob LaFerriere? Who's the president of Longwood, and he has his old. I think it's Alex is playing for the LA Kings. And his other son is just got kind of hooked up with the Providence Friars to play for the Providence Friars. Was it him that was saying like the first time he did it, like he walked down it and he's like, holy crap! He's like, there's so much more hill. He's like, are we down the hill yet? He was like halfway down it.
I know. So
was it Rob that said that? Who said that?
I think so. I think so because it wasn't Evan. It wasn't unless it was Dan. Dan's been there before.
I don't think so. Maybe whoever it was, they were like shocked that there was more hill to walk down.
Okay, so the hill is 1.1 miles from the bottom up to the rink.
It's a haul, man. It's a haul. It's a haul.
It's a haul.
It's a serious hill. That's not like that's a hill.
Yeah, I think you got that one, dude.
Big fucking hill.
Nothing gets past you.
No, but it was super first class. I mean, what an event! Like I said, we couldn't be happier to participate and help out in any way we possibly can. I'm just sorry that our social media following is not quadruple what it is. Just to bring more eyes to it. But as we kind of grow here and as they kind of grow, hopefully we can help bring as many eyes to it as possible.
Yeah, no, 100%.
Yeah. So kind of like you said, so we kind of finished at 8:30 and then I drove home.
Wait, you went home?
I went home. I had to.
I didn't realize you were going home.
I had to bring my car home. I had to bring my Jeep home because Nancy met me there during the day. And then she left.
You guys were swapping.
Yeah, she went back to pack the car, right?
Oh, right. Okay. You needed 2 cars there.
So she left around 6 to go pack the car. So she went home, packed the car. I got home around 9 and we jumped in the truck and we drove out to Penn State because Dominic needed to be at check-in the next morning at like 8:45 at Penn State. So we didn't get out to Penn State till about 1:40 in the morning,
That's late.
Yeah, we got to the Nittany Lion Inn at like 1:40, 1:45 in the morning.
And that's downtown, right?
It is. It's basically downtown. It's right next to the blue and white golf course. If anybody knows Penn State, it's on the campus of Penn State. You can walk down. You can walk to the shops. You can walk kind of to the middle of town, with like College Ave and all that. But yeah, shockingly, when we walked into the Nittany Lion Inn, there were two people at the front desk, like bushy eyed. Like I thought they'd be like, dude, you walk into like a Marriott Courtyard at like 2 a.m. and there's like nobody there.
Or
like they're in the back. They're in the back.
Earphones
like
in on their phone or nodding off because they're tired.
Like we walked into the Nittany Lion and there were like 2 desks and 2 ladies were sitting there like it was nothing.
They were ready to go.
I assumed place would be empty. I was even shocked the front door was open.
Oh, come on.
Listen, I wasn't sure. And we knew it, so we got in and we fell asleep around like, I'll call it 2:30. Because we were all wired from the drive. So we got in, we fell asleep about 2:30. We're up early next morning, checked in at Penn State. And Dom was there for Friday, Saturday, Sunday. It was good.
That's awesome.
Yeah, it was cool.
And just so he wasn't staying over, right? That was like kind of a day camper situation. So he was staying back in the hotel with you guys, right?
Yeah, they didn't, for whatever reason, they did not have an overnight option.
Boarding.
Yeah. Obviously. So our buddy Alec Marsh, friend of the show, Alec Marsh, episode 27, not sure.
Mm-hmm.
So Alec Marsh, who was the assistant coach at Hobart, who my family knows well now because Dominic was with him down at the Rockets. So he was the assistant coach at Hobart for this past season, and played 4 years at Penn State when he was in college. They hired him back now. So now Alec is on the coaching staff at Penn State. He's like the director of player personnel and video. So we ran into him. He gave us, but he was saying, he wants to redo the camp next year to make it more like kind of like an overnight option. Right.
Okay.
When he was younger, he had an overnight option at Penn State. So he's like, you know what, that needs to come back. So he's going to try to make an overnight option for next year. So that's kind of the plan. Yeah. So, Dom came back to the hotel with us. We dropped him off every day at like, I don't know, between like 8:45 and call it 9:45, depending on their schedule.
Right. And
done
then
by like 4:30, 5:30 ish.
Right. I was thinking about, like when we were there. So let's keep going on your end. So then you finish up over at Penn State on Sunday morning, afternoon.
Yeah. Yeah. Finished up.
And you and your whole family.
Yeah. Yeah.
In the whip.
Four of us were there. Dom was done at, I guess, he had the late game, of course. Of course he had the late game.
Of course he had a lot of late game.
Yeah. So I think he was done at like 2:30, 2:45, something like that. And then we went and got gas. And then we had to stop at like a Sheetz. And those of you know Pennsylvania, Sheetz is big in Pennsylvania. We had to stop at Sheetz in Pennsylvania. So like we didn't really get on the road until like, I don't know, 3:30, 3:15-ish.
And you missed the whole World Cup, dude.
Dude. Then we drove directly to Princeton. So our Princeton check-in was Monday morning early, right?
Mm-hmm.
So we drove right to Princeton, to the Nassau Inn in Princeton. You guys were here a little before we were.
Yep.
So you guys were kind of camped out in the Graduate Hotel in Princeton watching the World Cup game. We drove right through the World Cup game. We didn't get into Princeton to what time? Like 7:30?
Close to 7.
Right? 7:30, something like that? Yeah.
Something like that, yeah.
Yeah. So we kind of missed the entire World Cup game. Unfortunately, we were kind of trying to follow it on our phones while we were driving. But yeah, listen, what are you gonna do?
Yeah. Well, so Crazy Hockey family, all of you, your whole family, including your oldest, you were at an all-day, 13-hour event. You arrive at like 2 a.m. in Penn State.
Yeah.
Your whole family's there for hockey. Then you hop in the car and you drive to Princeton. Your whole family's in Princeton for hockey.
Yeah.
Yeah. So that's that's legit. That's legit commitment, dude.
I have to tell you, I don't mean to cut you off, but I want to get this in. It's funny because, what hockey's given to my family. So Nancy and I like, what Dom's doing, right? And we're supporting him. If he wants to play hockey, we're going to support him, right? My older one loves to travel and loves to see new places, right? So what hockey's done for us as a family, I can just speak for our family, but what hockey's done for us is it has forced us, not like we were, didn't want to do it, but it's forced us to spend time together. We're always in the car. We always make trips out of a hockey thing, right? We've been doing it forever. We've been coming down to Princeton forever, right? Dom and I was taking Dom to hockey games in Princeton when he was like 6, but we would come down as a family, go to the hockey game and spend the night at the Nassau Inn, which is where I am now, right? Around the Princeton campus. So hockey for my family has, and again, we like to travel too. So like it works for all of us, but I have to tell you, like, we're going to look back at this some year and my kids are going to look back at this and we spent so much time together and hockey has done that for us. I have to tell you, the fact that Dominic plays ice hockey, that's the only reason why we are what we are now.
You think so? I have a feeling you guys would probably be doing travel, but maybe not to like some of the destinations that you're going to,
and maybe not as much, right?
Maybe not as much. Sure,
maybe not as much.
That's fair,
right? Like we've been to, just kind of off the top of my head, like think about like hockey camps. Princeton, Penn State. We've done them up in like Rhode Island, Massachusetts, Pennsylvania. We've made trips to Vegas. We've made trips to Chicago. We just make trips out of it. Luckily, my older one doesn't play like a rigorous sport. He's more of a brainiac. So it's easier logistically. He can just come with us. He loves traveling and he loves seeing things, right? So it works for us as a family. But like, we're going to look back at this one day and the amount of time that we spent together as the 4 of us as a family is like, how do you, it's unbelievable the amount of time that we've spent together, and it works. We enjoy spending time. Listen, of course, we all get on each other's nerves like any family, but like hockey's like forced us to spend time together, and we all really enjoy it. So I can just speak for my family, but it works for us.
Well, like as you're saying that, and it was something I thought about also when we were going into recording this pod, and I knew we were going to talk about some of the summer camp stuff, but just even going back to. I guess it was not last summer, the summer before. I don't know. A couple of years ago, we went, Otto played over in Europe with one of like we went to Slovenia. And then as a family, we ended up staying after the tournament. First of all, Bled, Slovenia is gorgeous. So I can't recommend that destination enough.
Right.
Supers. And it's like an interesting part of Europe where it's like really close to Switzerland, it's close to Croatia, it's close to Italy. Right. Like, you can go, it can be a good jumping off point to go in a bunch of different directions. But like we went there because of hockey. We would have never gone to Bled, Slovenia if it wasn't for hockey.
Right. Exactly.
And so that's a trip my family's never going to forget. And now, now that Otto's getting a bit older, and I know that you've been going to college campuses for some time, but I do think like spring, summer hockey, if like a family is going to do that, for me, I certainly enjoyed going down to Princeton, spending time down there. I brought my daughter there. Like our whole family was there. We got to hang out, see different things.
It's a neat little city.
Right. So using hockey as a vehicle to go explore different places, like I think for sure, like when I think about future summers and like, hockey camps or, whatever the case might be, save for like local situations. Yep. Going to a destination, not because it's going to be the most elite hockey like experience for my son.
Doesn't need to be.
It's like, it doesn't need to be. It's just like, can we go somewhere where our family is going to have great memories? Can he go to a place with a buddy where he's going to remember like, dorming with Dom at Princeton, years down the road. Yeah. So as we, started talking about this, for me, and I think it's only getting stronger and stronger, my feelings for using hockey as a vehicle to go explore the world, like go overseas. Go domestically, but don't just go someplace because you think it's going to advance your kid's career.
That's not what I mean.
Like we're not there because we think Princeton's going to be the difference maker. Oh, correct. Listen, could it end up being maybe he's going to meet a coach that's going to give him an opportunity one day?
Who knows?
But that's not why we're there.
No.
You know
what
I mean?
That comes out of it. That's like an extra added cherry on top.
100%. But I'll say the more people you get in front of, it's like any other networking situation, man.
100%.
Like the more connections you have, the more relationships you have, the more you get informed about things, the more opportunities that might present themselves, as long as like you're conducting yourself, like, the family, the player, in ways that are like respectable, and like you get invited back and all that other stuff,
Right. And it's funny. It's a little bit of a different situation now that you and I have like a hockey podcast and like a show. It's smart for us to come, and obviously we've kind of hooked up with Princeton a little bit because we're a New Jersey based podcast. They're the number one, they're the only D1 program in the state of Jersey. Right. So we kind of hooked up with them a little bit to do a bunch of media for them because we want to spread, Princeton ice hockey around because it's an awesome product at an awesome place. And then their location is unbelievable, right? It's not far from Philly. It's not far from New York City, everybody in Jersey or Philly. I'm sure people can come up from like Delaware. It's not far from really anything, right? But the funny part about it is that, so it's easy for you and I to come here because we can do kind of our thing, and obviously we're gonna do some recording tomorrow from Princeton. You're gonna come back down, and we're gonna do some recording from Princeton tomorrow, which is gonna be awesome. We're gonna grab the coaches, whoever's available, and kind of do some interviews, which I'm sure you guys will see shortly. But my family's been doing this even before we had a podcast, right?
Right.
And you make an experience out of it. Listen, it's not cheap, but if you can figure out a way to do it, and you figure out a way to sign yourself up for a camp, he has fun. You see a new place. Like you said, there's a bunch of networking involved in it, right? I think matter of fact, we had Danielle Ward on very shortly. You guys are going to hear her. And she said, I think the same thing, if I'm not mistaken. Correct me, Scott. She said, if you're going to network and meet people, that makes a lot of sense.
Right.
Right. So you guys are going to
Absolutely.
hear her say that in the next half hour, right? And that's really the thing. You come, you network, you meet people. Like you said, you don't know who you're going to run into. You don't know what coach is going to rub off on you, and it's going to stick with your kid, right? You never know.
And listen, and one of the things that, although the interview will come out next week, but when we spoke with Evan Rodriguez, he talked about a single, and I'm not going to go into we'll save the story for next week and let him share it.
I know.
Obviously,
it was a good story.
He had one conversation with one coach that he,
changed the
trajectory of his career.
Yeah, his entire life.
So, the circumstances weren't like he went to a summer camp and that coach called him like 10 years later. No, that wasn't it. But the point is that like, you never know what like event on paper that seems somewhat like a nothing burger
your life
could really stick with you, and you never know when you're going to meet those people. You never know when you're going to have those conversations. So the more you put yourself out there, like anything else in life, the more opportunities you put yourself in a position to get something back.
That's right.
So in any event, it's the way I'm thinking about spring and summer hockey is much more about like family togetherness, exploring, getting having different experiences with different coaches, but not because it's going to make a difference like where he goes to school or whatever. So like those are not the intentions, right? And that's become very clear to me this week.
Yeah, I agree. It's it creates memories, right? I mean, we say it all the time. Like the kids don't remember like whether I think Evan Rodriguez says it, in the interview with him. You got, like Scott says, you'll hear it next week. I think he said like, you don't remember whether you won or lost XYZ tournament. You don't remember the score. You don't remember any of that. But what you remember is hanging out with your buddies in hotels, right? You remember the experience. You don't remember the games. Right. And listen, there's certain games, obviously, you remember, if you went and win Brick or Pee Wee Quebec, but like other things, it's about the experience. And that's, and that shapes your kid in different ways. And they turn out to be, a certain type of adult because of those things.
No doubt.
Yeah,
right? For sure.
So that's how you need to look at this stuff. You're 100% right.
Yeah. So now, so now Otto's down there and Dom's down there. So that'll finish up on Thursday. After that, Otto's coming back. Ooh, my dad got hacked.
Did he?
So yeah. So my family's kind of dealing with hacking.
Oh God, that's always fun.
Annoying. Yeah. But after
you guys
this,
having a rough go the last couple of days. Lost helmet.
I can tell that story, even though I shared it with the interview with Danielle.
Yeah. Checking in was an experience yesterday.
Yeah. No. Yeah. Check-in was definitely an experience. So I don't want to say needless to say, but like, not everything is as organized as things potentially could be. And yesterday was an example.
Things get chaotic.
Yeah, and so in any event, one of the things that happened yesterday. No, was it yesterday?
Oh, it was yesterday.
It was yesterday. Okay, so we have to rewind the tape, go back to Sunday morning because we drove down on Sunday.
Yes, you did.
So Sunday morning, I brought Otto to play some pickup hockey at like 6:00 in the morning, and my wife wanted to get a picture of us on the ice together. It doesn't happen that much. And last time I had taken him, we didn't get a picture. She's like, just go get a picture on the ice with him. He's got like whatever. Now his hair is like bleach blonde and whatever.
He looks like Eminem.
He looks like Eminem, ish.
I don't think it's bad.
So then I said, dude, take off your helmet. And so we both take off our helmets and put them on the ice. And as we're getting off the ice, like the Zamboni's coming out. There's like two other guys that were in the middle of like, having a conversation with. I pick up a helmet. He picks up a helmet. We get undressed on benches that are like not in the locker room because he's younger. He doesn't want to, we're not in there with like all the older dudes. So we're just getting changed separately. His helmet ends up in my bag and my helmet ends up in his bag.
Yes.
Neither one of us realized that we had each other's helmet until a day later when Otto goes to get dressed at Princeton because we drove right down. He didn't unpack his bag after that skate.
Yeah.
And then it sat in the car overnight. And then then he unpacked it and he realized he had my helmet.
Oops.
And this was after.
And when did he realize that he had your helmet?
Right before he had to get on the ice.
Yeah. So we had checked in.
But hold on, I just want to say one thing. It's like on the whole ride down there. Meanwhile, we still needed to pick up Otto another pair of like base layer pants because he only had one because one ripped. So we needed to pick up another pair. And we needed to get his skate sharpened. So going
Did you
down
accomplish
there,
any of that stuff, by the way?
Yeah, we got his skate sharpened and we got him a new base layer.
Oh, you found it all.
We got both, but those were two separate stops.
Yeah, I know they were. This was on Sunday,
and we're like hustling to get down there to watch the World Cup. We had made a stop before. So in any event, the hockey equipment, the amount of effort that went into like just making sure we had like these like final pieces together, and then only to find out that we need to go to Dick's Sporting Goods to buy him a new helmet, which was the closest place that had hockey helmets that I knew of or could find easily.
And you're lucky that you had
and
one.
There was only one. There's only one, and that was it. So it worked.
It did work. It was pretty funny how
but he missed the first session, the first on-ice session.
Yeah, it was kind of funny how everything kind of played itself out. So we get there, and there were a lot of people checking in, right? So the line was long to kind of, and it went very quickly to check in when we got here yesterday morning. But so then we check in and we go to the dorms, right? And there was a little mix up with the rooms that then got figured out. So Dom and Otto get to their room. And I guess, oh no, Dom and Otto did not get to the room. I take that back. There was a mix up in the rooms. So the original rooms were off. So they went back to the rink because they had a 10:15 talk. Coach Sire was talking at 10:15. So they went back, and then us four, me, you, Nancy, and Orly, kind of talked to the young lady that was in control of the rooms. Right. And then we went and kind of moved their stuff into the new room. Right. So the kids weren't even with us. So we get to the room, and really cool room. The buildings are ridiculous here on the campus of Princeton, like just ridiculous. Absurdly ridiculous. They're like from the 1800s. They're unbelievable. So their room has a fireplace in it. Super cool. Own bathroom, own shower. Again, super cool. Old windows, like right up my alley. Like can't even tell you. So cool. And then I was kind of joking about this during our interview with Danielle Ward. Nancy and Orly start setting up their room.
Oh yeah.
Nancy and Orly are putting their clothes in the drawers, and they're making their beds, right? Like they're doing all the stuff for them. So, so then we were on our way to the room. I think we're on our way to the room. We were just about to the room to kind of move their stuff into the new room. And Dominic texts me, Dad, Scott's helmet is in Otto's bag. And I'm like, oh, fuck. And you were standing right next to me. I look over at you and I'm like, yo, dude. I'm like, your helmet's in Otto's bag. You're like, fuck.
Yeah, I was so confused as to how that even happened because I didn't realize that we had, and like part of this is like, and then I feel bad, right? Because then like Otto, I get on the phone with Otto.
Yeah, and they were about to get on the ice for an eval.
They're about to get on the ice.
First session after Coach Sire talked was a skate.
And I said to Otto, I was like, I feel bad because I was definitely making him feel badly that he had fucked up. I was like, dude, this is why we empty bags completely. This is why we double check everything to make sure you have all of your own shit. Period. End of story. Period. End of story. And like, ultimately, was it his fault? It was both of our faults. In the grand scheme of things, it was a genuine mix up. It wasn't out of like complete stupidity. Yeah. But yeah, man. And then so he finally got his helmet. He got on the ice for.
So you guys ran to Dick's. You guys, so he missed. They wouldn't let him go on the ice with Scott's helmet, obviously, because it just didn't fit right. Right, of course. That's liability wise. You knew that was going to happen.
And for what it's worth, I'm looking at our helmets right now. They look basically identical.
Do they? One's not like 3 times the size. I mean, you have a pretty serious dome.
No, but listen, I could whatever. I'm not going to put the helmet.
But I'm serious. They don't look like totally different size wise.
If you were really when I look down and I see a helmet that's like navy blue with a black Oreo cage and whatever, they look exactly the same.
So let me ask you a question: do you have the team stickers on your helmet?
No, but I however I picked it up, I didn't notice the 14
I know,
on the back.
I'm obviously just busting your chops,
in any
of course. Listen, it happens to every single person that's listening to this has forgot something, whether they're skates or a helmet or elbow pads or shin guards or a cup, neck guard, you name it. We've all sticks. We've all done it. You know what I mean? I remember where was I? I was somewhere with Dominic and we forgot his fucking sticks. I mean, it happens, dude. It just happens. It totally happens all the time.
I just sent you a picture of our of the two helmets side by side. Not that it's really close up.
Yeah. Okay. I mean, fair. I see it. Oh, they're both CCM. Okay. No, you're right. Matter of fact, now that I'm looking at it, I actually can't tell which one's which. So fair.
Fair. It's fair.
No, they both look the same. But one's got CCM on the chin strap and one doesn't. Other than that, they're the same helmet.
Right. So in any event, but we got that cleaned up. They finally got checked into the room. Otto got on the ice. All good. But
you guys ran to Dick's, got him a helmet.
Ran back.
That was so lucky, by the way. It was a helmet.
Very lucky.
Because Dick's has so little hockey stuff. As everybody that's been to Dick's knows who has a hockey player. The hockey section sucks.
We would have had a further drive to get to a pure hockey.
Yes.
Which is like in Cherry Hill, which is like 40 minutes away.
Yeah. Sorry. So talking about like forgetting shit or like not or needing stuff. So we're out at Penn State, and so we ordered a bunch of Titan Battle Gear stuff. Speaking of, we should do our partners shortly. But so we ordered a bunch of Titan Battle Gear stuff for Dominic's 2 hockey camps, Penn State and Princeton.
Yeah.
And he was running short on socks, on like Bauer socks or like hockey socks,
like socks that go like on his. For the skates or shin guards?
No, on his feet, and then this foot goes in the skate, like socks, regular socks, not hockey socks, right? Like socks you put on your feet. So when we were in Penn State, we were looking for hockey socks. Can I just tell you, there's like no pro shop anywhere around Penn State, and I mean no pro shop. There was a place that I found. I'm like, oh my god! I'm like, it was like Smitty's bicycles and. Bro, you think I'm joking? You think I'm joking? It was Smitty's bicycles and hockey equipment. Shit you not, no bullshit. It wasn't called Smitty's, but it's something like that. Right. Stewart's bicycles and hockey equipment, right? That was somewhere in downtown State College, right?
Yeah.
So then when we went to find that place, permanently closed. Okay. Not gonna lie, when I looked it up,
you went there?
Fuck yeah, we walked over.
You pulled up. It didn't say permanently closed on Google Maps.
Yeah, it did, and then we kind of like we were near it anyway, so we just walked over to see.
You got to Wally World and the parking
and it was
lot
closed.
Was empty.
Exactly. So like, and I'm not gonna lie, when we looked it up, and I looked at Nancy, and I go. First of all, I go, does a bicycle shop and hockey equipment like those two things don't go together? Like,
not a lot of synergy there.
I was like, Nancy, this can't
although biking is good for like a good exercise for hockey players.
Sure it is. But like, those are two things that I would not think would be both one in the same store. Right?
No, I totally agree.
Right. Yeah, right. Yeah. So couldn't find any fucking socks, Bauer socks anywhere. I would take any hockey sock or close to it at the time. So then we ran to like a place called Durham's out in State College. There's a place called Durham's, which is a sporting goods store. It reminds you of a Dick's. Okay. It's
like a mom and pop Dick's.
But it's massive. Like, Scott,
okay.
They're the same size as Dick's. Like, you would almost think that Dick's owns Durham's. Okay? Place is fucking massive. So we go to Durham's. No hockey socks. Very little hockey stuff, similar to Dick's, right? So then we're like, okay, let's go to Dick's. Now, again, like I said before, for those of you who know Dick's and you have a hockey player, you've walked through the Dick's hockey section. Like, don't blink because you'll miss it, right? Super tiny. Most of the stuff is like street hockey sticks. Sometimes they have a helmet. So we walked in, we drove to Dick's because we can't find hockey socks. Dick's, no hockey socks. But what they did have, Dick's at Out of State College, they had 2 hockey helmets. Those I did notice. So when you found out yesterday that you guys were down a helmet, I was pretty confident that there would be a helmet there.
That's what there was.
A helmet.
A junior helmet.
Helmet.
I was kind of hoping it was like in pink.
So just embarrass him.
So he'd have to wear.
Yeah.
I said to Dom, Otto ran back to the locker room because I didn't want it. I wanted to bring my helmet back in case I was going to get on the ice before he got back.
Right.
And so Otto went to run and get my my helmet, and I was standing there with Dom, and I say, Dom, listen, if your dad came back with a pink helmet and that was your only option, are you going to wear it? He goes, I have no choice.
Is that what he said?
Yeah, he goes, I have no choice.
Listen, yeah, good for him. It's good.
No, that was a good answer. I feel like Otto actually kind of doesn't mind some of that, like
the pink stuff,
flair, if you will.
Well, he likes a little sty.
I mean, his hair is unnaturally blonde.
The real Slim Shady.
He was going to dye it. He was going to tint it pink too.
Right.
I guess he would have been okay with a pink helmet. Yeah.
I think so. Sounds like it.
Yeah. Anyway, there was a guy in the World Cup, maybe for Norway, who had like a pink tinted hair. And I was like, oh,
he liked
tomorrow at 12. Yeah.
I don't like that. He liked that.
Yeah.
Look?
Anyway.
Okay. All right.
Anyhow.
So speaking about like gear and socks and base layers. So why don't we do a little partner stuff? Take care of some business. Get that out of the way. So you guys should go check out Howie's Hockey. Use our code CRAZY10 for 10% off your Howie's Hockey gear. They have awesome tape, laces. Scott's favorite, the candle. My favorite, the yellow handled scissors. We use them everywhere, literally everywhere. Not joking. They have one of the best logos in youth hockey right next to ours. They have awesome stuff. Their clothes are great. Their hats are great. You see them all around rinks. You see the little tape squiggle on people's gear. So go check out Howie's Hockey. Use our discount code CRAZY10 for 10% off your Howie's Hockey gear.
Yep, and it was great. Howie's they had Howie's jerseys at Princeton. They had the tape H front and center.
Yes,
right above the
squiggle.
crest.
Yeah, the H squiggle. Yeah, that's right. Princeton, all the Princeton, the jerseys they hand out yesterday to all the kids, all were Howie's jerseys. Yeah,
it was cool to see.
Good call.
Yeah. And so now that off season is in full swing, everyone should be going to hockeytraining.com to check out Coach Kevin's library of off-ice speed, strength, agility, stick handling video courses. It's a great way to improve your off-ice or improve your on-ice hockey skills off-ice during the off-season at home. If, you go to your local high school to do any like running or any type of wherever you might get some off-ice conditioning, you can do it with hockeytraining.com. Go to Instagram. You can check out Coach Kevin's IG page. It's Hockey Training HQ. It's got a lot of great information there, but please check him out. He's got a massive library of videos that are going to help you, improve your on-ice skills off-ice during this spring and summer.
Yeah. And then go check out Titan Battle Gear. So Scott and I trust our kids with Titan Battle Gear as far as base layer protections. The cut resistant stuff is unbelievable. The A9, it's the safest stuff on the market. And it looks great too. So we all know the kids love style. So go check out TitanBattleGear.com. You could catch it in our show notes. The link is TitanBattleGear.com/CrazyHockeyDads. Use our discount code for 10% off. It's CrazyDads10 for 10% of your Titan Battle Gear. They have some really cool stuff. They just partnered with USA Hockey. Dominic just got the USA Hockey base layer. They have camo. They have all these different colors. They have the Miami Vice one. They have a new limited edition that just dropped called the Frozen Rocket. So for you moms and dads, it looks like a bomb pop. right? The old bomb pops that we used to get at the ice cream trucks.
Oh, yeah.
They have a whole line called the Frozen Rocket that just came out. They have shorts, they have the base layer, they have hoodies, they have t-shirts. So go check out TitanBattleGear.com. Use our discount code CrazyDads10 for 10% off your Titan Battle Gear.
That's it. And for any of you coaches or managers listening that are considering or looking into video review and team analytics for your upcoming winter season, go to athleticperformanceinsight.com. It's a super robust platform. If you fill out the contact form, reach out to Eric, who's developed and owns the company. He'd be more than happy to do a demo for you, as well as break down a game for free, just so you can see what's going on with the platform when all is said and done. But yeah, it's a great platform to use in your video sessions, to talk to players about their on-ice performance. You can filter, you can look at all different types of gameplay scenarios, look at stats, you can look at your competition before you have your next game against them. So go check out athleticperformanceinsight.com. For any of your video analytics needs, mention Crazy Hockey Dads for 10% off your season subscription.
Yeah.
Jam.
Right. Yeah. $100 value.
There you go.
You can buy a third of a stick with that. So, unless you get your stick at Swift.
Oh, I told you we saw one of the goalies,
sticks, right?
One of the goalies at the Longwood Moe's Smile event was using a Swift hockey stick, and I was like, "Oh, dude, you should check out our episode when we interviewed Zacharias Thomas." Yeah,
it was good.
Unbelievable.
Yeah, and who do we have today, Scott?
Oh my God, do we have one of the most notable youth hockey coaches, probably in the country?
I was going to say,
or even further afar.
For those birth years, yes.
Yeah, well, listen, I mean, so Danielle Ward, she's head coach of the 16s, 14s, and 12s.
A lot. She's got a
16s, 14s, 12s.
Full slate of teams. You'll hear about it shortly.
Yeah, and she's, she coaches at Mid Fairfield, and we brought it up when we spoke with her, but many of you might have seen an Instagram post where her 2012 team won Pee Wee Quebec.
They won Brick too.
They won Brick too, but then they won Pee Wee Quebec, and there's kind of like an aerial picture of the benches, and it's just Danielle on the bench with her group, and then there's the other picture, and I think it was like a Canadian team. I feel like they were in Montreal colors.
Maybe not. It was Team Toronto, or it was somebody like that. I forgot who it was too.
Yeah, and their coach is looks more like, it's full of assistant coaches, and
there were 7 guys on the bench.
It's like one woman, one group versus seven men and whatever. And it was just unreal to see how dominant that team has been over the years. And it's crazy. Any of their losses are pretty much just to birth years above them, right? So older groups.
Elite 11s.
Elite, right.
Yeah.
And they're 12s playing.
12s. Yeah.
So just an unreal group, unreal team, unreal, coaching. Just so much goes into making such a dominant team, right? And go ahead. You Danielle for years. Dominic skated with her, so you could probably shed more light on your experience working with her and about her teams. But yeah, just meeting her on the call for the interview was awesome just to hear from her and learn more about what goes on over there.
Yeah. No, we've known Danielle for a while now. Dominic tried out for the CJR pre-brick stuff. So he made CJR pre-brick, I guess, when he was 7 or 8.
7, 8.
I think it was. Oh. Was it after Full Ice Mites or before Full Ice Mites? I forgot when.
It would have been after, dude.
When we did, it would have been okay. So yeah, is that when it was?
It's your second year. It's your second squirt year.
Is that when that's when they have the game?
No, so I'm saying pre-brick.
Right. So
pre-brick would have been at the end of your first squirt year.
Okay. All right. So whatever it was. So we met Danielle when Dominic was probably 8, call it ish.
Yeah.
Right. So Dominic went up to Stanford and he tried out for the pre-brick CJR. So he made it. So we played with him for 2 years, in the pre-brick stuff. It was cool. It was a lot of fun. Dom was doing lessons with her too. You could tell from very, very, very early on that she was just cut from another mold. Just actually, I think I just put two things together. I meant cut from cloth. But they broke the mold when they made her as a coach. I think she's just a different animal, and you figure it out very, very early on. If you've ever been around her, she's don't get me wrong, she's a lot of fun, but she's not super serious on the ice. I take that back. She actually jokes around with the kids a lot. But she's just a different type of youth coach.
Well, the accountability is super important. Huge. Accountability and effort. And if you fall short on either one of those, you're going to know.
Yes. So she's a different animal when it comes to youth hockey coaching. And listen, she's had, I don't know any other coach that's had the level of success that she has. I can't even think of one.
I personally don't even think I would know if there was another one with as much success, but based on since my son's been playing, that team has been the unicorn of unicorns, the 2012 Mid Fairfield team.
Yeah, and my kid's a 2012, so I know a lot of those parents and a lot of those kids very well. Like I said, we did pre-brick with a lot of them. When Dom was on our Rockets team, we played against them a truckload. So we've known Danielle for a very long time. She's a great skills coach. She runs a great skills practice. And to be totally honest with you, I remember when Dominic made that CJR pre-brick team at first. I think they took like 30 kids, whatever they took. I forgot how many kids they took, whatever it was. But I remember it was during COVID and going up there. And I remember the workouts were so ridiculous. I'd never seen anything like it up to that point. Right. Wow. And I remember like saying to somebody like, I would pay for this just for the workouts.
Sure.
Like the tournaments and stuff like that you went to were just kind of like an extra added bonus. And you went to some pretty cool places like Chicago, Vegas. Vancouver got canceled because of COVID. But like the Boston show down up in Boston. But it was her workouts were just different, man. They were just different, and there was also the different level of kid there, at that time.
Well, Mid Fairfield is consistently one of the top teams.
Right.
Listen, according to, in their leagues, across the nation, but also like the My Hockey Rankings always has them in like the top 5 best organizations, youth hockey organizations in the country, among some of other real notables like Penn's Elite and like Little Caesars and
they've cemented themselves as they're the real deal. They have a lot of talent.
She even said they have people that are like moving across the country so their kids can play. Who we got here?
Nancy and Luca. Nancy, they brought me Starbucks.
Oh, nice.
Thanks,
I wish I had Starbucks.
I appreciate
right now.
it. Yeah.
Coffee.
Yeah. Want to come say hi to everybody, Nance? Come say hi. Come on. Just poke your head. Say hi to Scott. We're recording. Say hi.
Hey, Nancy.
Hi.
What's going on?
Luca, you want to say hi?
Crazy hockey mom, crazy hockey brother.
That's right.
What's going on, Luca?
Thanks, guys. I appreciate it. Thank you. They brought me a green tea from Starbucks. Thank you, guys.
Oh.
They just came back from PJ's Pancakes. For those of you who know downtown Princeton, there is a place on Nassau Street, which is right down the street from the Nassau Inn where we're staying, called PJ's Pancakes. Great for breakfast. I think when we had Connor Jones on both times, I think I actually mentioned PJ's to him. We talked about that. Yeah.
Well, listen, downtowns.
Not only are we a youth hockey podcast, but we also like to give travel information.
Yes.
Especially if they're around rinks and camps.
Yes. And have downtowns. Anyway.
And have downtowns. Yes.
But yeah, listen, why don't we send it over to Danielle? Let's get that interview underway and then we can pick it up on the flip side.
Yeah, here it is. Danielle Ward, winner of 2012's Bricks, 2012's Pee Wee Quebec. I don't know another better youth hockey coach than her to date, so I hope everybody enjoys this interview with Danielle Ward from Mid Fairfield. All right, everybody, we have a special guest tonight. We have Danielle Ward. I've been trying to get Danielle on the podcast for, Danielle, I mean like a year, something like that.
Yeah.
Finally got you to come on. I appreciate you taking the time tonight. Thanks so much for hanging out with us.
Thanks for having me. I'm excited to be here.
So we always like to start, Danielle, with like, your path. Like, how did you fall in love with the game? Like, so take us from like back to when you were little, whatever age you started skating, and kind of go through your entire like youth, college, and pro career, and then kind of get into what you're doing now. Actually, let's do that. Why don't you talk about what you're doing now, and then we'll get into your youth stuff. How's that sound?
Okay. So right now I'm basically full-time coaching at the youth level. I have Bantam major, Pee Wee major, and Squirt major. And then I coach at our hockey academy, which is Breakaway Academy. That's sort of run through Mid Fairfield. And then I also do private lessons, like group lessons. So that's a full-time thing.
Right. So you've been doing this for some time now. Okay. And just in case for the people that don't know, I can't imagine why they wouldn't know if you're in the youth hockey space, but Danielle's 12 team has won Brick. They won Pee Wee Quebec. I mean, they're an absolute wagon. Everybody kind of around the 12 birth year kind of knows the story. Everybody has seen the Instagram clip of Danielle winning when she's literally the solo coach on the bench. And I forgot who you guys were playing, Danielle, but it's the funniest Instagram clip when you're on the bench by yourself running an entire team and the other team's got like 7 dudes behind the bench. I mean, you're right, Scott. It's one of the best Instagram videos.
It is like all time.
Yeah.
It is all time. It's unreal.
So good. All right. So Danielle obviously is a very impressive see, Danielle, as I mute my mic. So Danielle's a very impressive youth coach. So take us back, Danielle. Take us back to when you were younger and how you started playing this game up until you finished your pro career.
So I have an older brother. He's 10 years older than me. So he was playing hockey. And then my parents wouldn't let me start playing hockey until he graduated high school.
Oh, wow.
So I kind of started a little bit late, like 8 years old. I had been begging to play, but they wouldn't let me play. So I basically started out at the house level at 8 and played house league or B level in Flint, Michigan, through 12 years old. And my dad was my coach, and I love my dad. He's a great coach, but he can't skate. And so we had a lot of fun. He always taught us to be like score and pass and just be a good teammate. And he made it a lot of fun for us since we didn't really get the skill development side of things. And then I moved to like a single A level at 13 and then moved over to girls AAA at age 14. And so then I finally started playing like AAA level from 14 to 19. I did like a PG year at Honey Baked before I went to college, and then I did 2 years at Southern Maine, which was Division III, and then I did 2 years at University of Maine, which was D1.
Right. I'm curious. How did you make the jump from D3 to D1? Did you just light it up and then they kind of brought you on? How'd that happen?
I probably was always on the level of D1, but didn't necessarily choose that route for myself, and maybe didn't have priorities totally straight, and wanted to have a little fun. And then I was actually going to kind of just hang it up and move back home. And then 2 weeks before the season started, the new assistant coach at Maine had just gotten hired, and he was like, "Oh, we just had a spot open. Like, will you be the first person we bring in?" And so made it work out. I was literally driving to school, and he called me on the phone and was like, "Oh, by the way, you got admitted into school." I was like, "Great," because I'm only a few hours away.
That's unbelievable.
So you finished up at Maine, and then what happened after that?
After Maine, I went and played in Germany for one season. I played in Munich. That was an amazing experience. It was the hockey was pretty good. Most of my team was on the national team, and we won the German league that year, and I believe we won the European league also that year.
Okay. So it was legit.
And so then I was looking to move back to the U.S. after that, and I had a couple job offers, and one of them ended up being through a connection of old coaches back in Michigan and then also through Maine, got me the job in Stamford, Connecticut.
Okay.
Wow.
Gotcha.
And so I actually moved back to Connecticut. And then I believe it was 2 years later is when the Women's Pro League started.
Oh, wow.
So
you coached and then you went into the Women's Pro League. I didn't realize there was a gap there.
I just kind of got lucky that they had ended up putting a team in Stamford where I had just kind of taken a job 2 years prior.
Amazing.
Okay.
Yeah.
And what was that experience like? So you played 1 year in Connecticut for the Women's Pro League. What was that like?
It was pretty amazing to like be a part of that like foundation and just trying to get it going. There was a lot of excitement around the team. You know, we had way more fans than I ever had in college, and which isn't saying much, but for the first year, it was great. And you know, the level was really great that first year because we had a ton of Olympians in the league. And so it was a good experience. It was nice to be back on a team and back in the locker room and playing at that level again.
Right.
Wow. So just hearing, rewinding the tape a little bit. So when you made that transition, because we haven't had too many guests on to talk about the women's game, and obviously, the game has changed so much, certainly from when I was a kid and when you were playing at the youth levels. But in terms of families that have young girls that are playing, and your transition from playing, co-ed or boys, whatever you want to call it, and then going to girls only, were there options for you to keep on going and playing, with the boys, or did you have to make the switch then? I forget if you said it was like when checking or if it was earlier, but if you could just talk a little bit about that transition for yourself and like any advice for families out there with girls in the game.
So I did 3 years of checking. When it got to about age 14 is when the size difference like really, really set in. And again, my dad was my coach still at the time, and he even says like, I don't remember this, but he's like, there's times I just couldn't put you on the ice anymore. Like I was nervous for I was just small. I was really tiny. And I don't know, 14-year-old boys are pretty big now.
Sure.
Yes, they are. Some of them are enormous.
Yeah. So as you said, like the game has evolved so much on the girls' side. Like back then, there wasn't a ton of opportunity like under peewee age or under 12. I think now like the level's gotten so high on the girls' side, and you see so many females coaching now that played Division I and played pro hockey that there's this thought that like, oh, girls should stay with the boys for as long as they can. I don't necessarily believe that's true. If you asked me 15, 20 years ago, I would have said, yeah, stay with the boys for as long as you can. I sort of disagree a little bit now. Just because like on the girls' side, you are probably sometimes getting better coaches than what you could get playing at the level of boys you could play. So like not every girl is going to make a tier 1, like top elite boys team, right? It's just genetics. Like you can't do it. But, so sometimes you're playing at that tier 2 level or the AA level, and then you're still getting like a lot of parent coaches, or it's more recreation. But if you were to play on the girls' side, you might have someone that played Division I hockey and knows the skill development and knows the techniques, and you actually might be getting better development on the girl side at a younger age now than if you stuck with the boy side. And so I think like 1, the skill development, because you do have really good coaches. 2 is like a confidence thing. You see the girls, like I watch some girls that stay with boys a little bit too long and they barely touch the puck. And so like they might have like good IQ or like keeping up with pace, but if you don't have the puck on your stick, like it's hard to get confidence when that time does come.
Sure. Right. Are you impressed with the with kind of what's happening with the girls' game now? It's funny, Danielle. It's funny when Scott asked that question too. I feel like girls, I don't want to say almost had to play with boys, for a long time. When you came up in the game, because there weren't a whole lot of all-girl teams at that point, right? Now you see them like because obviously it's evolving. So the game's changing, and you see a lot of girls programs with full teams. I mean, we talked to Sadie Lundquist on here from Minnesota, and listen, Minnesota's a little bit of a different animal, right? I mean, they could field girls teams all day long, but even around here, I mean, the girls teams and they're full teams. I mean, so the game's definitely changed. Are you impressed with how like the game has changed, on the girls' side? Obviously the PWHL is huge for that, but it seems like the game is really taken off on the women's side.
Yeah, absolutely. It feels like it's one of like the biggest growing sports right now, honestly. The numbers are big. I started the girls program at CJR probably 8 years ago now. And at one point, I think we had like 5 age levels going through. And I think we had multiple teams. We were even ranked number 1 at one point. But for a state as small as Connecticut, like
right,
to see that growing and you get a number 1 team in a small state like that, like I'm really impressed with where the girls' game's going. And, we've got like the prep schools in the area too. And I think that helps and it gives a little pathway for the girls.
Right. Do you find that since you started that girls program at CJR, do you find that maybe you guys didn't have a lot of teams to play early on and that's kind of changing now a couple of years later? Do you notice that?
Yeah, definitely. Like, and I mean, I guess it goes against what I said a little bit earlier, but we played a lot of boys teams.
Okay.
Early on.
Sure. Because
but
there
we
weren't
take an all
enough
girls team and play boys teams.
Gotcha.
And it mostly went over pretty well and people were accepting of it. And again, like I said, it pushed the pace of the girls, but at the same time, like there's nothing like that locker room and having like an all girls locker room. Like I feel the difference when I walk in my boys locker room and I walk in my girls locker room. It's just so much fun and we have a really great time. And I guess like girls kind of miss that when they're on a boys team.
It's so funny now that I'm actually thinking about this. Now I don't know why this slipped my mind, but when we were when Dom was on that 2012 Rockets team, I want to say we played tell me if I'm wrong here. We played your 11 or 2010
my
girls?
2011.
2011 at Sacred Heart, right?
Probably.
Right. That's right. That just totally popped into my head when you said that. I forgot about that.
Yeah. Yeah, and a lot of those girls have now moved on and they're playing at Shattuck and BK and
right.
A lot of prep schools too. So
right.
That was a pretty high end team.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You seem to have a lot of high end teams, Danielle.
Well, I actually wanted to I wanted to dive into that a little bit because obviously folks that are around this, where we live, New York, New Jersey, Connecticut, and certainly beyond, like are from. Let me back up. I'm sure the whole country is aware of how, talented, Mid Fairfield is. And, obviously they're always in like my hockey rankings, one of the top ranked organizations in the country. So could you if you could talk a little bit about the organization, kind of like what are some of like the philosophical things or even like cultural things within that organization that just help it continue to be like best on, like the best year over year. Yeah, exactly. Like if you could just give us a little insight to like, what it's like working at that program.
I love it. I absolutely love working for Mid Fairfield. They kind of have the same philosophy of me and I believe in just like building everything from bottom up. So we have a pretty big MITE program and starting with like our 5-year-olds, we have our top coaches on the ice with our 5-year-olds. And whether that's like dads that played in the NHL, multiple paid coaches, we take that youngest age pretty seriously and we keep a coach with each birth year and they kind of move up with that team. But we've always put a lot of effort into like building at that youngest age and just trying to keep it together as long as we can. I think until last year, I still had 6 kids from when we were 5 on our 13 turning 14-year-old team. So that's not bad.
No, yeah, like that low turnover. Because that's like something also, and I'm jumping around a little bit and, I'd love to hear more about like any of the organizational stuff you want to, talk about. But I know on some like the sort of the higher end organizations, and I don't know Mid Fairfield, but there are some out there where it's like you could spend like, your MITE years through your Pee-wee, years. And then once you get up to like whatever Pee-wee Bantam, but when you're getting to that like 15, 16-year-old birth year or age group, not birth year, age group, like there ends up being a lot of billeting, people coming in from all different parts of the country. So in terms of like, keeping that team together, is that something that Mid Fairfield experiences also when you get to certain age groups, you're attracting talent from further away?
I think it's really new for us as an organization. I have 3 kids building next season. But even down to my squirt team, we have kids that have just moved in from like across the country. We just picked up a kid from like California, 2 kids from Florida. They all have roots in Connecticut, so it's not totally like
insane
out there, but
right.
I think it's a pretty new thing, and I think the biggest reason is because we have to now compete with the academies.
Right.
And we've always had a rule that we have to have one more player from Connecticut than any other state. So that still keeps us pretty heavy Connecticut loaded. But you do need to do what you can to compete with these academies. I feel like we need to keep pushing it just because you owe it to your like top players to continue to have the best team on the ice for those guys, especially the local guys. Like if they're gonna stay with you, you owe them the best team that you can put on the ice. So we have started, reaching out a little bit farther, getting billet players. You hate to like let go of a local guy, but it's kind of the new beast that we're working with.
Yeah, I'm curious. What do you think about what's kind of happening in youth hockey these days? I'm so curious. You've obviously been doing this for a long time now, so you've kind of seen the evolution of it. What do you think about kind of the state of youth hockey today compared to when you started this?
It's gone totally crazy.
Yep, which is why we have a podcast.
Yeah, it's gone totally crazy. At the same time, it's been really fun for me. Like this past season again, like next year, for example, we only have 6 kids that are going to traditional school on my oldest team.
Wow.
And we'll have like 7 or 8 going to our academy. But that's super fun for me because now I'm skating with our guys in the morning, in the middle of the day. It's a little bit more of a non-traditional thing. Like we now have a 4 p.m. team practice instead of your typical band team practices at 9 o'clock.
Right.
Yeah.
We're able to now practice at 4 p.m. next year, which maybe gets these guys to bed a little bit earlier. That's exciting for me. Just what can we create now that the game is changing? Like, what can we do with it? And so I'm enjoying that piece of it, even though it is totally nuts.
Yes, it is.
Well, in terms of things being totally nuts, I mean, is there like what? And I'm not saying nuts necessarily to put it like pigeonhole it as something like bad or that's just, but something that's just maybe kind of taken on a life of its own that it didn't have previously. Are there certain things in particular that kind of fall into that bucket for you? I mean, like the academies is one, right? So that's a thing. But is there anything else that kind of touches on that?
Well, I almost like the academy style seems like the biggest thing to me because like. Yeah. In the past, how many kids were going to school online or going to academies? Like, you'd like to think that it's all going to be, we all come out of this normal. I hope so. But I guess we're kind of the guinea pigs for all of that, it seems.
Right. Yeah.
But it seems like we're surrounding these kids with like good environment, good people, so I think it'll be okay. But that to me seems like the biggest change.
I'm curious, did you have a hand in kind of building the academy, or did somebody else kind of have like the architecture of it and then kind of bring you in and kind of like have you work it? Like what was that looking like?
So the original Breakaway Academy is in Minnesota. And so Gary Zegras, who runs Mid Fairfield, he brought the Breakaway to Connecticut. And so they built that 2 years ago. Mm-hmm. I've had like a decent hand in it as far as like bringing kids in, running practices. And now we're building like a video room, a shooting room. They've got the gym. And now we have meetings this week coming up about just how we're going to adapt the day to day based on like our ages, our skill levels. So I'm enjoying being involved with that kind of stuff. Cause again, it's all pretty new.
Right.
And just seeing how creative we can get with it to get the best out of it.
I'm curious, what have you noticed as like the hardest thing kind of in kind of seeing it being put together? Is there something that you noticed that you were like, wow, that was really difficult, or is really difficult, still is really difficult?
I'd say the most difficult thing is costs. These academies aren't cheap, and
No.
so to get kids into these, it's not totally easy. And so that I'd say that's like the biggest hurdle right now. Hockey's just become so expensive. I guess like when you're playing tier 1, like truthfully, the cost has got to be at least 20 grand or more anyways without going to an academy. So I think now just families trying to decide like how to balance those costs and what's worth it is probably the biggest hurdle.
Yeah.
Right.
So, and you were talking earlier just about like how serious that Mid Fairfield takes like the younger age groups that like for as young as 5, you know, just kind of like build from the ground up. In terms of like a player's path that's like, you know, getting into like the Mid Fairfield ecosystem, you know, like what the hopes from like an organizational standpoint for like, you know, a player that's going to have longevity within the organization, does that include the academy at this point, or is the academy kind of like treated separately, or like how, do they feed each other? Like kind of how does that work?
The academy's separate, but it's certainly helped me build my teams. So I have even as young as 2016s that go to the academy. So they were Squirt minors this year. And that certainly helped, I guess, feed both sides of things. You don't have to go to the academy. It's there if you want to. You know, I had people that didn't come to Bantam tryouts this year because they thought that they had to quit school. And I was like, no. Like, you don't have to quit school to play on Mid Fairfield. You can still go to school. So they feed off each other. They help each other out. And I think it's good. I think it's really good for the organization.
Yeah.
So, I'm curious. What were your parents like, Danielle? Did you have crazy hockey parents, crazy hockey dad, crazy hockey mom? I mean, it sounds like your dad maybe couldn't skate like you could, but what were your parents like when you started?
I don't think they were crazy. My dad was always pretty like level-headed, even-keeled, pretty positive coach, like made sure that things were fun. Like I don't really remember a negative experience with him on the bench. You know, I think he always just wanted to get the best out of all of the kids. My mom was always pretty positive. You know, she wasn't like one of those loud parents in the rink. She just kind of let me do my thing. Same with my dad. I kind of steered the ship and they supported it along the way.
Right. Yeah.
That's awesome.
Did your dad play hockey at all?
No.
He didn't.
He was a baseball player and a wrestler.
Okay,
Oh, wow.
gotcha. So he just kind of got into coaching it because he saw that you loved it and he just kind of wanted to help out?
I think so. I mean, my brother was playing and yeah.
Did he coach him too?
I'm not sure.
Oh, okay, gotcha. All right, listen. All right. Good for him. I like that he got into it.
There's a big age gap.
Oh, there is. Gotcha.
Yeah.
Okay, listen. That's awesome that he got into it for you. Listen,
Yeah.
just maybe it's a reason to spend more time with you, right? Can't fault him for that. You know?
And what was your decision to go into coaching at some point? Was that did that have anything to do with, you know, like the fact that your father had coached at some point?
I think he definitely left a positive experience
Yeah.
on me with it. And just like the things that he taught me that are important. You know, I think I carried that through my game for a long time. And that was just like I said, being a good teammate, like you have to have the same amount of goals as assists. So like I'm like a big believer in passing the puck. And just like really hard work ethic. My dad was a super hard worker, expected me to work hard. And so that's something that I really value. And so I think like him building those things in me has definitely like made me enjoy wanting to pass that on.
That makes sense, because I know, and maybe if even just like if we have coaches that listen also, and I feel like we're jumping around a little bit, but Jim, if you want to go back another direction, but I was just curious in terms of your approach. I mean, you've had so much success, and it was certainly with the 2012 birth year, that's like unreal, and so many people know about the team and the talent. But like any advice that in terms of, or maybe you could speak to some of the things that you do that you believe you can attribute some of the some of your success to, from a coaching perspective.
Well, I've always tried. I'm like pretty hard to play for, to be honest. Like I'm not the easiest coach to play for. So like I've always been known to be like tough on kids, but like at the same time I try to be fair. Like there's an accountability, and top to bottom there has to be that accountability. So you can be hard, but as long as you're fair and you're the same way for everybody.
Right.
So like I think that gets some respect along the way.
Sure.
And that's kind of why like kids trust you and are willing to put it all on the line, because they do believe that there's like, oh, if I put in this, I'm going to get that. It's not just like a reward because of a name type of thing.
Right. Yeah. So I'm curious, what made you want to get into coaching? I know you said kind of like when you were finished playing, a bunch of people asked you, did you just kind of fall into it? Is something you always wanted to do, or just kind of like they offered you a job and you're like, yeah, sure, I can do that?
No, I've always like loved the system side of things. And I had a coach starting in like U15 who really started to introduce me to that stuff. And that's when I like really, really started loving the game, is when I started understanding like the thought process of the game more. And so then in college, I had a really good coach that started bringing me in to like teach me how to do video. And I would sit in the office in college and like clip video and watch like future recruits, like, what'd you see that was good here? And they kind of taught me how to do it. And I just fell in love with it even more, and kind of knew that's exactly what I wanted to do. So probably starting like junior year of college, they started training me then, because it just seemed like something I was really into.
Right. No. So it's funny because you were looking at video of like high school kids for like a college recruiting for college, right?
Yeah, they would just show me the tapes of the kids that were sending it in and be like, what do you think of this? And they'd make me like break it down and tell me what I thought about each little play. And then they'd make me clip our team games. And you learn a lot. Like you're constantly learning from watching. I watch probably 8 hours, 10 hours of video every week now as a coach. So you're just like constantly learning, and that's really exciting to me.
Did you ever think you would be doing that for the youth level, or did you think you'd be doing it for like the college level when you first started doing that?
I did 1 year as an assistant at Connecticut College.
Okay.
I didn't love it as much.
Interesting.
That's probably not the right school atmosphere for me. I don't know if I'm NESCAC material, but so maybe I'd give it a shot somewhere else. But I do love the youth level because I like the social aspect of it. There's just, being with the parents, being with the kids, you're just always around a group of people. You're traveling on the road. It's like a traveling circus constantly.
Yes, it is.
But I love that. I love being on the road. I love being with the parents. I love being with the kids. And I just found that that's more fun than being on the older side of things.
Right.
Well, let me ask this now that we're talking about parents. So in terms of crazy hockey parents, and I'm sure you've seen it all, but like any like red flags that, for, let's say parents that are either getting into the game, trying to get to the higher levels, maybe got tier 2 parents that, think would love to get their kids to tier 1 or whatever the deal might be. What are some of the biggest mistakes that you see parents making? And I'm sure it varies from like the different age groups, right? But like, just anything that comes to top of mind for you, whether it's at the younger,
as far as like how they're like pushing their kids on the coaches, or like
it could be, yeah, thanks for clarifying that. Yeah. So on one hand, I'm curious about, like, because one of the things is the parents' interactions with the coaches, right? I'm sure there's plenty that, like, would, if they didn't have to, they would never leave you alone. And on the other side of things, just like maybe parents that you see the way they're interacting with their kids that might not be setting them up for success long term.
Yeah, I mean, there's definitely parents that like promote their kids in a way that's not reality. And you can kind of spot it pretty quick. I've had some very overconfident parents like try to push their kids on me very recently, and it's like an instant turnoff. Where you're just like, I just watched your kid play. I can see, like, let your kid's performance like do the speaking. Like, I've definitely made parent cuts over the years, and I don't regret them. And
right.
it overall makes for a better season. And you do see parents make those mistakes where you just like, your kid could be phenomenal. They could be a great teammate, a great hockey player, but you see parents ruin it for their kids. And you would hope, like, as they go down the road, as things get older, like the older, the scouts are just paying attention to what the kid can do on the ice and who the kid is off the ice. But at the same time, the parents should be careful, because I think even up until the NHL level, like, you're still dealing with some type of culture with the parents, and there's some that can be far more difficult than others.
It's
right. So is it? Oh, go.
No, go ahead, Scott. I'll follow up after you. Go ahead.
No, I guess on one hand, it's just in terms of let's say parents that. What am I trying to ask? So not all parents are necessarily like interacting with coaches for the wrong reasons. So maybe if you could just share some of, like, what are the right reasons parents would interact with a coach?
So I actually love when parents do like check-ins, just like mid-season check-ins, ask how their kid's doing, that kind of stuff.
Mm-hmm.
'Cause then you can have pretty honest conversations, especially when the parent engages at first, just like in a normal type of way, just asking like, hey, just checking in, how are things going? Sometimes if you have to check in first as the coach, like, the parents don't always take it the right way. Like, oh, you're picking on my kid type of thing.
Mm-hmm.
So I actually enjoy when the parents reach out, and just, a few times this season. And it does open the door a little bit. Like, I always tell people, if there's an issue and I don't know about it, I can't fix it for you.
Right.
And so, like, hearing about an issue secondhand in the bleachers is a lot more difficult to fix, and it becomes a little more hostile than if a parent just comes to you directly. Because usually, like, oh, my kid feels like you're just like not really giving them a chance, or what's this, what's that, like, then you kind of check yourself too a little bit, and you can be like, oh, maybe you're right, like, I can take a look at that, and usually you have a positive outcome from it. But if it comes secondhand, or the coach has to reach out first, it tends to be just more hostile.
Interesting.
Yeah, that is actually. So it's funny, Danielle, you mentioned before, kind of as they get older, and kind of like up to even like the NHL level with parents. So I assumed, which was probably a mistake, right? I assumed that when you get to like the D1 college level, that like there's no more crazy hockey parents, because like you've kind of hit, like, listen, most people don't go to the NHL, right? For the most part, it's a very small percentage overall. So like playing D1 hockey is pretty legit, right? Right. So I remember, so Scott and I were in a hotel, and we happened to be talking to a Division I parent, a Division I dad. And he kind of found out like what we did, right? So we started talking to him in the restaurant in this hotel, and we were just kind of picking his brain. And I said, "Yeah," I'm like, but you don't see crazy hockey parents. I'm like, because what do you need to be crazy about? Like, all these kids are playing D1, like, what's there to be crazy about? And You remember Scott? He
Yeah,
looked at us
totally.
and he's like, no fucking way, dude. He's like, they're almost worse. And I was like, what? And so I assumed, again, maybe my bad. I assumed that like when you get to those upper levels, your kids playing Division I hockey, like what do you need to complain about? Your kid's playing for free for the most part, right? Or whatever it is. And he's playing at probably what, the top level, right? Because again, the number of kids that play at the NHL is small. So I assumed that it wouldn't be insane, but apparently, Danielle, it doesn't go away at the D1 level, which I was shocked to hear.
Yeah, I mean, you'd like to hope that the parents' complaints at that level have far less influence.
Sure.
Right.
And that hopefully they're just complaints on the sideline. Whereas when the kids are younger and, everyone's paying a lot of money to do this, like you have to listen to a certain extent. But you would think it has less influence at that age and they're more just complaining about, stats and assists and what line their kid's playing on. And I'm sure everyone, even up to the NHL level, is still upset about that stuff. But you'd think it doesn't have any merit, at least coming from the parent.
Yeah. Yeah. Matter of fact, now that we're talking about this, Scott, I think Scott Bartlett, when we had him on, the NHL agent, I think he even said that some of the parents would like complain to him about about their kids' playing time. Your kid's like a man now, right? He's not a kid anymore, but even because when you get to that level, everybody's legit, right? So even,
the amount of, we don't go to a lot of spring tournaments anymore, but the amount of parents I see dragging coaches and agents into the stats office after games to change the iPad points is absurd. So agents will go in and change the points for their players to just like boost it. And you're seeing a lot of that right now in the spring tournaments.
It's so funny that you say that because can I just tell you, I have seen, okay, so at least
not that anyone's looking back at how your Bantam stats were.
Fair.
Exactly. So that's funny you say that because I have seen a fair amount of parents go to the scorer's box or go to the manager and say, hey, listen, like my kid, missed the assist got missed or my kid didn't score the goal. I mean, that's like, it's so funny you bring that up because that to me is so insane. That to me is so fucking insane because no D1 coach, gives a shit, for the most part. Maybe the top kid's fine, but like most people don't give a shit, how many points your kid had at Bantam minor or Bantam major.
I agree. I could see it like when you're making a run for like the top 3 scorers in the tournament.
Right.
Like there's some clout to that, right?
Right. Fair.
But if you've got 4 points in 6 games and you're pushing to change your 5th point, like what are we doing?
Totally. Well, and now that we're talking about like spring hockey, and you were saying that you don't do and like correct me if but not many spring tournaments potentially, but like what I wanted to just ask about is like what's your philosophy or like kind of like what would be your approach in terms of like the the off season, right? So like at the younger ages, clearly there's things like Brick, then there's things like Pee Wee Quebec. So there certain years that there's going to be like heavy duty hockey in the off season, but like from a general development perspective, like what's your philosophy? What's your take on like secondary, having a second sport, and then also like the spring summer hockey? Do it, don't do it. Situationally, it's very important. Kind of like what's how do you view that all?
So like back when the kids were mites, we basically mandated that like you have to play a second sport.
Mm-hmm.
That could be like a rec league. I mean, we had a mom sign the kids up for like soccer, basketball, just totally like not even real teams, but just to like be in sneakers.
Right.
Right.
Not skates.
Yeah. I personally only do like 2 or 3 spring tournaments and we do them as like 90% of our winter team.
Got it.
We'll bring in like 4 or 5 extra guys just to give it a little more of a boost, but we try to keep it a pretty heavy majority of our winter team. That's how we've always done it. So that, really it like benefits just the continued growth of our group because that's really what you're going to do there. But when people ask, oh, should I go to this spring event, that spring event? To me, I tell people like, if you're going, like you're really just going to like network, which is fine. Like, if you want to go and meet other people and network and, get your kid here and meet these people, like, I see no problem with that. As long as you know that that's why you're going and not just like, I don't know, you're probably not going to get better. But
interesting.
There's a handful, not even a handful, like probably like 2 or 3 like week-long elite invite-only camps that I've seen that are like actually truly put on really well and worth it. And there's some I've seen that are just a total waste of time.
Right.
Right.
But
So go ahead,
guys.
James.
No, guys, Scott. I was just going to ask about like development. Good.
Oh no, but like if a player, let's say in like a non-brick, non-Pee Wee Quebec, like other tournament that's like a big deal year, like if a player came up to you and said, spring summer, hanging up the skates, I'll get on the ice maybe once a week just to keep off like some rust, but otherwise I'm just going to play other sports and do other things. Is that something that you think is like in a player's best interest, or do you think like continuing some regular on ice training is important?
I think it's okay to like take a period off, like in between season and spring hockey. I always try to tell our guys like, hey, take 2 or 3 weeks off, just don't touch the ice. No one ever listens, but
right.
you'd like them to hang it up for like a certain period of time just to get a little bit of that hunger back. But I've seen to a certain extent like athleticism, with the way the game has changed and how high the skill is, like, will only take you so far if that's what you're going to fully rely on.
Right.
So I do think like there's definitely got to be training, whether that's like off ice. I think the on ice should be like, you got to pick out something really specific that you want to continue to develop and make sure that you're not just like BSing your way through the skates. Like pick something you want to work on, get better at it over the spring and summer. And I think off ice is really big too. But I think the kids that do nothing have a really hard time that first 2 months of the season. And it is hard to catch up. But I know you also hear these stories of like late bloomers too.
Sure.
But I don't know.
It's just funny you mentioned the late bloomer. Because we talk about the late bloomer a lot. Do you think that all right, so you like, which is, Scott, you asked the perfect question because it was exactly what I was going to ask.
Good.
Yeah, no, that worked out perfectly.
Nice.
So you think that taking a couple weeks off here and there is good, but then get back at it, right? Get on the ice, start power skating, or like you said, work on whatever your deficit is.
We take 6 weeks off in the middle of the season. So last year we took 6 weeks off from basically like Thanksgiving to mid-January.
Oh, that's interesting. I didn't know you guys did that. You just practiced for like 3 times a week?
We practiced a little bit, but we had like a huge gap of time off last year. And I think it helped the kids ride out that long season. It made some of the parents a little nutty because they forgot everything that happened before Thanksgiving.
Right. Right. Yeah.
All I can remember was the 6-week break and the new season, basically. But to me, it felt like a fresh start and grinded a lot less on the kids.
And just so I'm clear, sorry, James, but
no,
Danielle, that's not organizationally up and down the birth years. Is that with the 2012 specifically?
It was them specifically.
Yeah.
I'm the scheduler for 12s, 14s, and 16s.
Okay.
So with the exception of like our NEPAC league and the EHF, I schedule everything else. So I do try to build in like, okay, if we're going to have a weekend off, like, or 2 weeks off, we're all going to take that weekend off.
Right. Okay. Right.
And so I try to build my teams in together at least so that we're all kind of working on the same path.
Got it.
Right. Did you do that because you knew you guys were going to go to nationals, so you knew that it was going to be a prolonged season? Is that why you did that between the 6 weeks, like kind of leading up to Thanksgiving and through New Year's?
Yeah, I mean, the hope was that we were going to make nationals. Well, right. Because there was no auto bids.
Of course. Right, of course. But yes. Okay. But that was by design because of that, right?
Totally. And we actually started late too. Like, I mean, there's so much pressure now to start like mid-August with tournaments. And now the last 2 years, I've just like said, I I feel like a jerk sometimes telling people no, but I'm just like, no, we're not starting. So like we won't start till like the second or third week of September.
Right.
Wow.
Yeah.
So there's definitely FOMO because you're missing a few things early on, but like it's crazy. We're still playing. I mean, they're not all on the My Hockey, but we're still playing 80 games and 75 games. So like
Right.
it's a grind, and so it's okay to say no and start a little bit later and take some breaks.
Yeah. 80 games. That's a hefty schedule.
Yeah.
How do you feel about that? Would you, if you could do it, like, let's just say, like, would you love to play just 45 and call it a day and go to nationals, or do you guys like the heavy schedule?
I think if you looked at our like practice hour ratio to game, we're still like significantly higher on the practice side of things. So I think it's okay.
Right.
Yeah, would I like to keep it under 60 for sure?
Right.
But then, you run into your state tournament, your regionals, your nationals.
Yeah, and it just
and
adds
then
up.
It adds up. And like, you don't want to miss out on like a couple big tournaments here and there. And so it just adds up. But
Yeah.
no, we're still heavier on the practice side for sure.
So, I mean, that's a massive number of games. And I know that is so like, tier 1 teams are all pushing like, whatever, maybe like 60 to 80 is a big range. Don't get me wrong. But like, it's a lot of games for some kids in terms of managing like burnout. And obviously, taking that time off from the holiday season, like totally makes sense.
Yeah.
But if we just even take like more of like a macro view and like just step back and take a look at like, multiple years playing that number of games at the younger ages, how do you talk about internally, or even like, how do you think about like the idea of burnout and like when it becomes either too much, or kind of how to make sure to build in some of that recovery downtime to get that hunger back that you were talking about?
Yeah. I mean, my philosophy has always kind of been, if the kid is asking to go, then continue to fuel that fire. And then if the kid's just like, oh, I don't want to do it, like, don't force it. Like, take that day off. I mean, obviously, like, you can't let your kids just totally phone it in on everything. But I think as long as they want to do it, fuel it.
Yeah.
Right. Yeah, it's easy for these kids to sit home and like just sit on the couch and play video games. Like you gotta
Totally.
we all push our kids a little bit, right? You have to as a parent, you can't just let them make their own
you don't want to
schedule.
eat your vegetables either, right? But like,
right, but they're good for you, right? That's exactly right, Danielle. They're good for you. So you have to, as a parent, you have to show them, kind of, I think pushing is healthy, in my opinion. I do.
Well, one of the things about and when we talk about the younger age groups and whether or not to push or pull your kid, one of the dads had once said to me, he said, he's like, yeah, but like if your kid wanted to eat, talking about a child who's, wants to be at the rink constantly, like always there, like no days off type of thing. And he was like, yeah, but if your kid wanted to eat Reese's peanut butter cups for breakfast, would you let them? And it's like, just because they want it doesn't mean it's necessarily in their best interest. Right. So I wonder, like,
you can see when kids need a break. And you try to tell parents that, like, even I like take a break sometimes. Like, I'll cancel like a lesson every once in a while because I'm just like, oh man, that's a grind. Like, if I'm tired, the kids must be gassed. Like, we're not skating tomorrow morning.
Right.
So you try to just gauge the kid. And I know, like, at this tier 1 level, we're starting earlier and earlier, and it does seem like a grind. Like, I was just talking to someone who's an 08, and they were a late 08, and they're like, oh, we still have 3 years of juniors, and they're already committed to college, and they still have to grind out 3 more years of juniors. And it's like, oh my gosh, like, that's a really long time. So when you look at it that way, you're like, wow, this is long, so maybe you should pull back. But again, like, if your kid wants to shoot pucks and work on the skill development stuff, like, fuel it.
Sure.
Listen, Jimmy Dowd says the same thing. He said, right? I mean, Scotty said the same thing a couple times when he's been on with us. He's like, listen, if your kid loves it, let him do it.
Yeah.
You know, and it's hard to argue with that, right? I mean, you know, I can almost guarantee you, I can't imagine Wayne Gretzky's dad was pulling him back much. You know, so I'm not saying that every kid's gonna be Wayne Gretzky, but you see what I'm saying, right? You know,
no, and I, it's funny you say that because like I see so many things like on Instagram, like the Minnesota model, these guys aren't skating, they're just doing their town teams. That's not true. That's not true. These guys are skating every day. They're playing on travel teams. They're doing all kinds of crazy stuff. Like no one playing at that tier 1 level is really just like taking all this time off and not skating.
Yeah. I tell you, Danielle, even people at the tier 2 level are not taking off. You know, like it's we all say that we're going to take off, but do we really? I mean, you know, I'm sitting in a Princeton hotel because mine and Scott's kid is at a Princeton ice hockey camp, and you know, so like we really but like Scott, like you said, like you know, Otto wants it, right? I mean, Dominic wants to do this stuff, and it's better than them sitting home on the couch, that's for sure. Right. So as a parent, it's hard to, and listen, Dominic does other things, Otto does other things, which is great, you know, but you know, when your kids have a love for the game, it's really hard, you know, to say no, because I'd rather them be active than not active. My kid could sit on the couch like nobody's business if I let him, you know what I mean? So listen, so if he says to his dad, like, let's go to a hockey camp, like I have a hard time saying no to that because I don't want him sitting on the couch playing video games.
I'm with you on that. I started hockey so late too, so I like didn't really barely get to go to hockey camp. So like once that finally got put in front of me at like age 14, my parents would drop me off at the rink at 4 p.m. and I would stand at the door of every practice that went on after my team, just like asking the coaches like, "Can I get back on? Can I get back on? Can I?" And they would let me, which is amazing.
Yeah.
But
that's
again,
cool.
that's just like you're allowing it, you're hungry for it, and then provide it. So,
right.
Well, I want to maybe switch gears like a touch, but still stay on that like crazy hockey parent theme because one time of year when people are nuts is tryout season.
God.
So one of the questions I wanted to ask in terms of you know, tryouts. Well, look, I mean, we know a lot of it is sorted out before tryouts. I mean, that's no secret, you know, but like in terms of like, you know, the build up to tryouts and, you know, for you specifically, what separates two players that have similar skill?
I guess.
Good question.
I guess you can look at it at different age groups.
Okay.
I'd say at like the youngest age group, hard work probably stands out more, like effort, and like grittiness type stuff, that you look for, that could make a kid stand out more. And then I probably noticed it the most at the Bantam minor year that started to stand out the most from one kid to the next based on skill level was the IQ. So kids can have the same skill set, but like the IQ difference is extremely noticeable. And that can really make you stand out.
Yeah. So, okay. So, I mean, and that makes sense. Those are some of those like intangibles, but like, okay, so let's just say you have to cut a player, or I mean, you always have to cut players, right? But like, what, in terms of advice, like to a player or parents to like kids that get cut, right? Like that can be like such a, like a devastating thing. Like what kind of advice do you give those families or those players who like, you know, maybe they're a bubble, maybe they're a fringe player, right? Like and how to keep it like them positive and motivated, but also at the same time, like, you know, doing what's best for the team, etc.
I mean, as far as like what their next like
kind of like what kind of guidance,
like the next place to go.
Well, not necessarily so like go to this place, but just kind of like, you know, yeah. Sorry, go ahead.
So the biggest thing I've noticed, like if it's a kid that just like couldn't quite keep up, that you had to cut. I often see parents then chase the next hardest thing. Whether that's like, oh, I'll go play on this next team, but it'll be a birth year up. Or I just got cut from the number 1 team in the country. Now I'm going to go try the number 2 team in the country. But I don't necessarily think that's always the right decision for the kid. Like if your kid got cut, that means like they were struggling with something, and maybe like moving them down at even lower level might kind of help them rebuild that confidence in some of those areas.
Sure.
That's kind of how I feel about it. But to convince a parent that that's the right decision is, it's a lot of a status thing, and you don't want to drop levels. And so I see time and time again, like someone gets cut from a team and then they go play a year up somewhere else. And you're like, oh, that's not what your kid was missing. Like your kid needs to touch the puck more and get some confidence and polish up this skill. And they're not going to get that if you're putting them over their skis again.
Right. So, all right. So it's so funny you say that too. Because you mentioned about it being a status thing. Do you think that some parents kind of get in their kid's way, and like you said, not drop him down a level or go play or go be the man on another AAA team, like maybe like a, a mid-level or a lower level AAA team so he can get those puck touches like you mentioned? Because I think we notice a lot that the parent kind of gets in and impedes the kid, maybe not knowing that he's doing it either.
Yeah, I see it a lot. There's a lot of like chasing and grass is greener, and it's just like, what are you chasing really? Like you could just keep your kid in the car for 10 minutes and, help them develop versus chasing something that's a 2-hour car ride and making your year miserable. Like I see that a lot.
Yeah. I'm curious, what are some of the other mistakes you see parents making, Danielle, like out there? If you had to pick one, you're like, wow, like that's like it happens all the time and you see it constantly. What's like the one major mistake that a parent makes, in their kid's development?
Probably the car coaching. And in some ways I can see it, being positive because like a coach can't give every kid individual attention all the time. So like, there are little things that of course like a parent can help with, but if like, for example, as we were getting ready for Pee Wee Quebec, I had the team make a journal and we had journal pages and videos for 30 days. And it maybe ended up being more than 30. But I didn't allow the kids to share them with their families. I'm sure their parents still snuck into them. I told the kids, we're going to do this. Once the tournament is over, give the notebook to your parents, let them have the videos, share as much as you want with them, like share it all with them. But I didn't want them to share it with the parents leading up to it, because if one parent disagreed with like the message that we were trying to send as a team, like that could blow up the whole thing. Like if we were saying, pass the puck, be selfless, but your parents like, no, it's all about you and points, like you're not going to get the buy-in that you need. And then ultimately like that probably ends up bringing the individual down anyways. So like, yeah, the parents not totally understanding the system, or like, even like when you're making lines, like you might have like a power forward with a high IQ guy and then someone that's also like a good back check or something, and you have a little bit of each with the line, but the parents don't really, they just think, oh, you put my kid on third line. No, it's not third line. It's, I see this great quality in your kid and this great quality in your kid, and I think it, goes really well with this kid's qualities, and that's why I'm matching them together. And so I think parents get in the way of that a little bit.
So some of that was, like a little bit of culture, and even like, regarding like leadership, from your perspective, like what makes a great teammate, and on the other end of that, like as far as like the leadership piece, like in your opinion, can leadership be taught, or like the kids that are leading like the teams within, Mid Fairfield, they have certain attributes that, they're gifted, as far as leaders?
I think some of it definitely comes from within. Some of that could be like a cultural thing from home too. Like they just, that's how they were raised and that's the confidence they come in with. It's definitely something we're trying to teach as well. We have a lot of alphas on our team, for example, but it's not always an alpha in the most positive direction, and you have to kind of guide them to like what, you know, we want you to lead, and everyone looks up to you, but make sure you're doing the right thing and people aren't looking up to you as you're being a goofball and doing the wrong thing. So like, I think, you know, kind of guiding the alphas in a way that can be a positive thing, because, you know, people do look up to them. So like, you do try to teach those kids like, hey, like, people are watching you, they're looking up to you. How can you do this in a positive way?
Mm.
So there's some teaching to it for sure.
Right. So I'm curious. We've had you on for an hour, which went by like nothing. So we have a couple more for you. But I don't know why we haven't gotten into this yet. What would you say is your proudest moment on the bench to date, if you had to pick one? I know you've had a bunch of them, so this is gonna be difficult for you to kind of pick one.
I'd probably have to say winning Quebec. Just because of the preparation we put into that one. Like, there was like deliberate, like I said, we had that like notebook. It was very deliberate preparation. There was a lot of preparation on the mental side. Just like mental toughness training that we went through. And just to see the kids like win that one, I feel like they really like made a mindset and set the goal as a team. Like, nationals was great, but honestly, we didn't put the same like specific like effort into that one as we did Quebec. And for the kids to win Quebec after all the buildup, like, I was really proud of them for that one. And like, they grinded. I have this great clip of one of my centers. I think we had a penalty and we were killing off like a 6-on-4 with like 2 minutes left in the game, and he blocked 3 shots in a row.
Oh, that's sick.
And like, that was something we talked about, and he owned it. And like, you know, he got sniped 3 times, and it was like a highlight of the tournament for me.
Oh, that's awesome.
He did that. Yeah.
It's fantastic. I love it. It's great.
Yeah.
All right. So I have another one kind of goes, I want to say kind of hand in hand with it. What is one principle that you just refuse to compromise on as a coach, and you'll never change that?
Effort. Like I said, I've always had 2 rules on my teams, no matter how old you are, like 5-year-old, 15-year-old, and it's back check and pass the puck. And those have always been like the 2 biggest foundations. And so just like effort with the puck, effort without the puck, second efforts, third efforts, fourth efforts. You could be the worst player on the ice, as long as you're busting your butt, like, you have respect for me.
Yeah.
Right. And impact the game too.
Yeah.
So I love how you just brought up not only first, but second, third, fourth efforts. You know, for those that might not be familiar with those terms, can you just kind of like break that down a little bit? Like what you're seeing, like what's a first effort versus second, third, fourth?
Just like tracking pucks. Like, one of the quotes I use with the kids, and excuse my language, but it's, if you fuck up, fix it. So like, and I'm guilty. Like, a lot of my players are afraid to make mistakes with me, and I think it's because I'm so hard on them. But I'm trying to change in that way a little bit to help them, because that's definitely my fault. But I always say, like, if you fuck up, fix it. Like, if you can turn the puck over 100 times, as long as if you turn it over, you are the first guy back on it to get it back.
Mm-hmm.
Like, if you're going to try to toe drag 3 guys, you better get that puck back after you turn it over. And you better stay on the hunt. And, you know, you're going to do a high turnover, but you better back check all the way back down the ice if you're going to make the mistake. Like, you can make the mistake, just, you know, be sure you're the most standout guy that's going to fix it.
Right.
Yeah.
Totally. No, that's awesome. And I think that that's something that, and you know, let's just actually go with that, like, because something popped into my head. But okay, so kid fucked up, you know, turnover, like, you know, try to toe drag someone entering the zone, got his pocket picked, you know, so now he has to fix it, and he wasn't the hardest worker on the way back. What's it like trying to, or not what's it like, but like kind of like, what's the process of trying to work with a kid who fucked up but is having a hard time fixing whatever it is that needs to be fixed?
So
It's a good question.
Yeah, I mean and honestly, I would say that it's changed a little bit, but
Sure.
in general, like my philosophy is like, okay, if it's happening over and over again and it's not getting fixed, like as far as an effort thing, then you sit a shift and then go back and do it again. Like go back and try again. Like I try not to ever sit a kid more than like one shift. And that's not sitting because they made a mistake. It's sitting because they didn't have the effort after the mistake.
Right.
So that's like the message of like trying to send that message. Like you're being sat a shift because of your effort. And now like show me that you can retry to give that effort on the next shift.
Right.
It definitely worked with the older kids. I'd say the post-COVID years, it's not translating as much as it did pre-COVID. I don't know why that is. So I'm trying to adjust a little bit, but I'm still trying to figure that out and learn from it a little bit because the same messages and models that I was using maybe like 6 years ago aren't necessarily working now.
That's so interesting that you're pointing out COVID specifically as kind of like
it felt like that was like the wall
period.
and
The
like
wall.
pre and post,
Interesting.
like there was like a different mentality in kids and like now you have to treat them differently almost, and what worked before isn't necessarily working now.
Wow.
Right.
Never a dull moment.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's funny. We probably could delve into like an entire like societal like
Thing about
avenue
that,
right
no
now.
doubt.
Yeah, about that because I think that's probably very true. By the way, there's definitely something
accountability is much more difficult now than it was previously.
Right?
Interesting.
Isn't that funny? I'm curious. Do you notice? Do you notice that with parents too, by any chance? Do you notice any difference in parents, or just kind of on the kid side of that?
I think it's stemming from the parents, probably.
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
They're not really allowing the kids to like fail anymore.
Right.
Some are great.
Right.
But a lot of people don't want their kid to feel pain and like suffering and not in like such a terrible kind of way, but like
right.
They try to like fix everything, but like it's hard to learn if you don't make a mistake, right? Like that is the only way to learn, and if you aren't allowing your kid to make a mistake or you're fixing the mistake for them, like the adjustment gets a lot more difficult, and it feels like now like the parents are trying to keep everything really comfortable and safe and mistake free, and so it's harder to grow.
Yes, exactly, because growth comes from failure, right?
Yeah.
So if kids are always being kind of like let down gently, I don't think I think in my opinion, kids should, again, just my opinion, but I think kids should experience failure and what it feels like at a young age, because you don't want your kids first time to experience failure when they're like 19 and then they don't know how to handle it, right? I mean, in my opinion, you need to figure that at a younger age, because that's just how you grow and get better in anything, right? I mean, how do you become a good member of society without that?
Later and later now,
right,
and more difficult. So it's a learning process for me too, and how to get through to kids in a different way now, and how to communicate with parents a little bit differently, just because you can't necessarily do things the same way you did 5 years ago.
Right.
And I'm curious, but Scott, before I let you jump in here, I just have one more on that.
Yeah, no, you're good, dude.
Are you noticing the same skill level with the pre and post COVID kids? So it's not a skill level thing. It's just kind of like a behavioral thing. Are you noticing the same skill level?
It's like an emotional thing.
Right.
There's a lot more like lack of mental toughness, I would say.
A babying almost kind of the kids, right?
Yeah.
Right.
Interesting. Yeah, no, it's definitely a problem. I think, like it's funny, my wife and I, we talk about, and everyone's got their thing that's more important to them or less important to them. But like, like my wife and I were talking about like technology. My son doesn't have a phone. He's going into 7th grade next year, even though he's supposed to be in 6th grade, but he's going into 7th grade, and he's like one of the only kids in his class that doesn't have a phone. Right. And he's like devastated by it. But like, we're looking around. My wife and I are like, the bar is set so low. Like, how can he be the only kid that doesn't have a cell phone and he feels so left out? And like, it makes it hard. But like between food, technology, going outside and like playing and doing whatever, I feel like the bar is so low. And, it doesn't, I'm all for, like pushing kids to like, go be bored, go be uncomfortable, go outside, do the things that you don't want to do now because it's not going to get any easier as you get older.
Yeah.
Yeah.
For sure. I mean, we just had our hockey camp that we just run. We have 35 kids and we keep them at lake houses, and basically from 4 p.m. to 9:30 p.m. is like free time, and it's supervised but not structured.
Mm-hmm.
So like it's not like, hey, at 5 we're doing this, 6 we're doing that. It's like, here's a boat, here's some jet skis, here's some paddle boards, a soccer ball. Grab some friends, go figure out what you're gonna do. And honestly, I think when you ask the kids, like, they have more enjoyment and memories out of that unstructured time than like, being glued to a screen or being told you need to do this. And I think the more they can experience that, the more joy they're going to find they can get.
Sure. Yeah. Yeah. It's funny. We're talking about this, because like, like around like 11 o'clock this morning, Dominato checked into Penn State. Penn State. That was last week. Princeton. Sorry. Penn State was last week. You can tell I'm a crazy hockey parent. So they checked into Princeton this morning, and we walked them the gear to their dorm room that Otto and Dom are sharing. And I was kind of making a joke, Danielle, because Nancy and Orly, Scott's wife, started like setting up the room for the kids, putting their fan on, putting their clothes in the drawers, making the bed. And I remember saying, I said, are you guys going to set their dorm room up when they're like freshmen in college? I was making a joke about it because we talk about like, I don't want to say the babying of kids, but like, you need to let these kids do this shit for themselves, right? When I see a parent humping his kid's hockey bag, even at a young age, can I just tell you how many times Dominic tipped over carrying his huge hockey bag when he was like a last year mite or like a first year squirt? Like, I'm not carrying that shit, like, and again,
they're still bantams. Their parents are packing their bags for them.
Right.
So.
Listen, funny you say that. Otto forgot his helmet today at Princeton.
No, well, listen,
Danielle.
Oh, hold on. Just so, because I don't want to throw my son under the bus unnecessarily. The truth of the matter is that we played in a pickup game, like a men's pickup game, early that morning at like 6 o'clock. And afterwards, my wife wanted a photo of the two of us on the ice. So we took our helmets off. And so he picked up his, like, whenever the helmets got confused, right? Neither one of us paid much attention. He just threw my helmet in his bag, and I put his helmet in my bag. And then he didn't unpack his bag because we drove straight down to Princeton. So he ended up with my helmet. So in any event,
right,
that wasn't exactly his fault.
And I'm not breaking Otto's chops. What I'm saying is, normally Otto packs his own bag, is my point, right?
Mm. Yeah, no, he normally does. Yeah,
that's what I mean, right? It's good for these kids to carry their own bag and pack their own shit. And if they forget it, it's a learning lesson, right? Like next time you won't forget it, hopefully. Yeah. Right?
Yeah. Well, make a mistake, learn from it. It's not the end of the world, right? You show up to a game, you forgot your skates, right? Like, it sucks, but you're probably not going to forget your skates ever again.
That's right. Right. Exactly. It's like touching the stove, right? You need to do it once, hopefully not twice, and you learn the lesson. Hopefully you don't do it again.
Well, what's the saying?
And it's not the end of the world either, right?
Right. Yeah, if you do fuck up, you need to fix it.
Yeah,
that's
exactly.
It.
I feel like we may need to make like t-shirts.
We need t-shirts now.
Fuck up and fix it, like Danielle Ward under that. I think it's pretty appropriate.
All right. So listen, let's start to wrap this one up. Danielle, we're going to go through a few rapid fire questions, if you don't mind. All right.
Okay.
All right. So let's finish this up. We're going to go through a few different topics. Start with hockey. Okay. Keep it easy to start. Favorite hockey player growing up?
Darren McCarty.
Oh, nice one. All right. Best rink in North America?
I love the Mount Prospect rink in Chicago. They have the best wood-fired pizza bar.
All right.
Oh, boy.
Yeah.
I'm sure it's better than the Armory in New Jersey.
He's busting my balls, Danielle. I knew, as soon as you said that, I'm like, oh my God, this is totally coming in my direction now.
Okay. Here we go. Hardest age to coach?
13.
13.
Oh, wow.
Okay.
Hardest age to parent too.
Most underrated hockey skill.
Passing.
Most overrated hockey skill.
I don't know.
That's a hard one.
Okay. You can take a pass. All good.
Yeah.
All right. Coaching. Here we go. Loud coach or quiet coach?
Trying to be quiet.
Got it. Well, this wasn't exactly, it didn't have to be about you necessarily, but
quiet.
Okay. Trying to be on the quiet side. Okay. Got it. Tough love or confidence builder?
Tough love.
Okay.
Knew that was coming.
Yeah. First thing you notice about a player?
Skating.
Hardest conversation to have with a player?
Probably when they think that they're doing something, but they're not, and there's like they get defensive, and trying to explain to them that you're not attacking them, but you're actually trying to help them.
Yeah, makes sense.
Welcome to parenting.
Okay. So from a recruiting perspective, character or talent?
Both.
Good answer. Leadership or stats?
Both.
All right, good answer. All right, and here, best advice for a player chasing college hockey?
I would say outside of putting in the effort is just being a good person and being a good teammate. People do notice how you carry yourself around the building, and I personally as a player made some of those mistakes myself, and I just think that those things do go a long way.
Okay. All right, we're going to finish it up here. 2 more. Favorite music before a game?
I hit everything. Probably right now, house music.
All right, let's go.
Nice.
Yeah. All right, and now to finish the sentence, the best hockey parents are those who
stay positive.
All right, that's a good one. Love it.
Danielle Ward, everybody. Danielle,
Dude,
thank you so much for coming on.
Thank you so much.
Tonight.
Yeah, 100%.
Thank you guys. Really appreciate it.
All right. Have a good night, Danielle.
All right. All right, everybody. Welcome back from a tremendous interview with Danielle Ward of Mid Fairfield. James, dude, very, very interesting to hear what it's like to be a part of like such a tremendous organization and to coach one of the best 2012 teams in the world.
Maybe
probably.
Ever. Yeah.
Maybe ever.
Yeah,
maybe. I don't know
ever.
if you'd
That's
ever, how you'd
time.
ever figure that out. But
ever's a long time, but it's a powerhouse right now at the moment.
Yeah. And the thing that I don't know that it struck me as like I was surprised, but a lot of times we have conversations on the podcast about like at the younger ages not to take it so seriously, like let the kids be kids, like multiple sports. And like Danielle talked about playing multiple sports also, but she also at the same time she said, like we take it seriously starting from like the age of 5. And they set the tone early over there. And look, I understand the intentions of trying to cultivate a core group of players from the younger ages because, like even when we're talking Evan Rodriguez, he was saying how he played with the same, I think Toronto, maybe Marlies team for like 7 years.
Yeah.
And like, there's definitely like, look, when you're playing with players that you're comfortable with, like you develop rapport, you develop like on ice chemistry.
Where they are. Yeah.
Yeah. And so I think that definitely helps in terms of development when you're always playing with the same kids. But I mean, wow. I mean, for sure that is a massive commitment playing at Mid Fairfield from the youngest of ages. 80 something games is like, wow. It's a lot.
Man, that's
like
a
it's
lot
nonstop.
Of games. Yeah. Well, listen, they do a lot of like high end tournaments. And it's funny. I actually forgot to ask her this because we only had so much time with her, but we don't want to keep her all night, which we probably could have. But the interesting part about it is that when people call her for tournaments, right? Mid Fairfield, especially on the 12 berth here, and I'm sure others as well, is a selling point, right? If you're a tournament company and you're trying to put a high end tournament together, and you can then get Mid Fairfield on the books saying that they're coming, it's a whole lot easier to recruit everybody else to come.
Right.
Right. Right.
Yep. It's like having like an anchor account in like a strip mall.
Listen, they have,
you know what I mean? It's like
leverage.
you build around. Yeah.
Lots of leverage in the 12 birth year for tournament wise. They have a lot of leverage. I mean, if you can sell to the rest of the country and Canada, hey, listen, we're putting this high end tournament together. Oh, by the way, Mid Fairfield's coming, right? That's a selling feature, right? I mean, that's I'm sure other teams sign on because of that. No question about it. No, listen, they're a wagon. They've been a wagon ever since mites, listen, what's cool, I think she said they still have 5 kids that were there from when they were mites.
I think it was 6.
Was it 6? Yeah, I'm pretty sure I know who she's talking about too. Cause again, we're kind of close to the program, not being far from them, and playing against them for years. But listen, she's like I said, when I first met her, you knew that she was just cut from a different cloth. She takes no shit. And listen, it's worked for her. There's no question about it. It's hard to argue with because she's had a lot of success.
Yeah. And she's also, it was interesting to hear her also talk about how post-COVID, like those players are harder, or
wasn't that interesting?
The same tactic in terms of the tough love, the like accountability piece, and for sure,
wasn't that part interesting?
For sure, she's still deploying that, but
sure, yeah.
it's not having necessarily the same effect as it did with the pre-COVID players.
Yeah.
And I thought that was an interesting point of distinction. And look, she's recognizing it. She said, like, this is an opportunity for me to learn, and she's working on evolving and, to continue the level of success. But one of the things that I loved, and I thought it was funny because she's like, and we talked about this earlier, right? When she said something along the lines like, this is one of the lines I use with the kids on the bench. And I was like, oh, okay, what did she say with the kids? And it was like, if you fuck up, fix it. And I was like, well,
that was a good one. I like that.
That's to the point.
Telling you, t-shirts, make t-shirts. With it. Put Danielle's
but like
name on.
even just the imagery, right? Like how many dude, I can only imagine the number of like parents that are listening to this and being like, when my son gets his pocket picked potentially and he doesn't hit the brakes and then
go after
explode back on a back check, just kind of like looks to the ceiling or just as a helicopter turn.
Yeah.
Dude, like that would so not fly on that bench at the age of 5. You know what I mean? And I think it's interesting that part of what she's holding the kids accountable to is just like, I'm sure, just like the fundamentals, right?
Yes.
Like you got to do the little things right. Like you get your pocket picked, you better get your ass back there.
It's a mindset. Yeah. Don't sit there and sulk about the fact that you just got that some kid just took the puck from you. Go after the kid and go after him like your hair's on fire.
Right.
I say it to my kid all the time. My kid does not do that. My kid just gets all bent out of shape with himself because my kid's in his own head.
Yeah.
As I'm sure a lot of kids
think sometimes. Yeah.
Yeah. It's funny. Danielle was saying, I think you asked what's the hardest age to coach, and she said 13.
13. Yeah.
And I think I made a comment something like, yeah, and the parenting is just as hard at that age too. My kid's 13, or 13 just turned 14, but he's still a pain in the ass, and he doesn't get it yet. Hopefully he will at some age, because he'll never play for Danielle if he doesn't start to get it soon.
Well, I was thinking about that.
Or a coach like Danielle.
Right. And I was wondering when we were talking about that, and honestly, I just lost my train of thought. Come back.
Dominic not going after somebody when he gets his pocket picked.
Yeah, I definitely forgot. I lost my train of thought. Anyway,
that's all right. Yeah, no, listen. Listen. I've been trying to have her on for a while. So we've been going back and forth for a long time. During the season, it wasn't right, because she's been super busy. So the summertime was the right time to do it. So it was perfect. Right. But yeah, no, she's fantastic. Like I said, Dom's done skills work with her for years. We used to do it early in the morning, before school sometimes. No, she's great. She's a really, really good skills coach. I remember she taught like angling and like, I don't want to say checking, but like body bumping, if you will. Yeah. From a very young age, where most kids were not using that, Listen, she's a really good hockey coach, which is exactly why we had her on. I mean, listen, you can't win Brick and then win Pee Wee Quebec and not.
And nationals too. They won nationals. No?
Sorry, and nationals too. Yeah,
Nationals.
They just won nationals last year. Yeah. It was funny how she mentioned that they put more kind of like, not want to say resources, but like effort into Pee Wee Quebec rather than nationals. I thought that was pretty interesting.
Well, like yes, but I also wonder if they had done nationals before Pee Wee Quebec, it would have been the other way around.
Maybe.
Maybe.
Yeah.
There's probably residual left over from that Pee Wee Quebec. But that was like years apart at the same time. That was already 2 years ago, no?
Yeah, and I guess Pee Wee Quebec is also more like a of an all-star situation, right?
That's fair.
The crazy part about it is that the teams that she normally takes to Brick and to Pee Wee Quebec are for the most part like majority Mid Fairfield with like a handful of kids. Like she mentioned, like her spring teams, they take like a 90%, Mid Fairfield, and then a handful of kids. They did the same thing for Brick, and they did the same thing for Pee Wee Quebec, if I'm not mistaken. It was the majority Mid Fairfield kids and like just like a handful of other kids.
Yeah, it's almost like they take the like the top 10 and then
kind of bring some other kids in.
Other kids in who are like maybe better than their bottom third or whatever.
Yeah. It's what was also kind of interesting that she was mentioning, the academy that the academy that they're starting over there.
What, Breakaway or Bolts?
Breakaway.
Yeah. So that
Bolts is their like spring team.
The spring, but it was called Bolts Hockey Academy.
Oh, interesting.
What they're calling
see that.
it now.
Oh, okay. All right. So the Bolts was their spring team.
And maybe it's just like, they call it an academy and they just have things during the spring, summer,
right?
Whatever. But yeah, the original Breakaways from Minnesota.
Yeah.
Breakaway Academy. And this is the second location. And Trevor Zegers' father.
Dad. Yeah.
Right. He runs that as well as the Mid Fairfield organization, if I'm not mistaken.
Yeah, I think he's the president of Mid Fairfield. If I'm not mistaken.
And Trevor played when he was a kid for Mid Fairfield.
He did, yeah. Matter of fact, I'm pretty sure our kids saw him on the ice years ago there. He was doing a workout and he was on the ice with somebody before I skate up at Stanford. Yeah. No, listen, it's these academies are popping up everywhere. You and I were just talking about it off air. The academy stuff. I mean, they're and it's not just hockey, by the way.
No.
I mean, they're popping up for baseball, for wrestling, for basketball, for
all the things.
It's everything. They're everywhere. It's your non-traditional schooling that's popping up everywhere. Parents spend money on their children, right? Which is why our kids are playing ice hockey, right? I mean, my parents were not spending money on listen, their parents always spend money on their kids, right? But when you talk about
the same level,
not to the same level,
not
correct? Like education and sports are two totally different things.
But now they're not.
Well, that's what I'm saying. People are looking to better their kids, whether it's academically or athletically, or maybe a combination of both these days. I don't want to say it's right or wrong. Listen, I do it. I pulled my kid out of public at fourth grade, and the town we're in is a great school district. So it's not like my kid wasn't getting a good education. And then it's funny. We also kind of did it because during COVID, and this kind of pushed me into it. And I don't know if I've already even said this on the podcast, but during COVID, Dominic was only going to school for like 3 hours a day. Right. And I thought that was unacceptable. I did not like that. I didn't like that, and that was okay with the state at the time. Like that was enough to fulfill whatever they needed to fulfill. Right. So I was not okay with that. So I pulled Dominic out of school in fourth grade during COVID when I saw that he was only needed like 3.5 hours a day or whatever it was. And I was like, this is ridiculous. It made me feel like public school is more like babysitting. Right? Because if you really only need certain things to check off all the boxes to meet state requirements, then what the fuck are we doing? Right? Is the rest of it babysitting, like music and art and gym and recess and lunch? So is it just, was public school kind of kind of put together just to so parents could go to work so they could have their kids?
But look, it
That's what it
introduces
feels
kids.
like.
Fair, but like, okay, so clearly ice hockey isn't part of the curriculum in public school.
Of course
But the
not.
things that they do introduce kids to, the arts, the other more traditional non-core subjects,
Sure.
right? Like, yeah, are they throwaways for kids that don't give a shit about painting or singing or like,
100%
yeah, no doubt. I don't
Same as
disagree
gym
with that.
class for somebody that's into music and art. Same idea.
100%.
And
100%.
recess or whatever, right?
But I'll tell you this much, like in terms of being exposed to that stuff.
Yep.
Now, look, is Otto going to have a career on Broadway? Probably not. But did he?
And if he did, that'd be fine too.
No, but, right. But what I'm saying is that like it'd be in the school they had like he was in the choir, I think, for 1 year. He did at least 2 school plays that were like not part of the curriculum. So it gave him an opportunity to be in different situations.
Of course.
Like, learn a little bit more from different teachers.
Yeah,
and
try something out. And that's cool.
So look, is it something that I feel is the most important for his overall development as a student? No, but like, am I glad that he got some of that experience? Totally.
Of course.
Of
course.
But like at a certain point when, we talk about specialization on things, like it's not uncommon. I'm sure there's plenty of kids that well before hockey players were going to academies that would leave to go to, I don't know, for academics specifically, kids would leave to go for like better educations in, science, math, whatever.
Yep.
People
STEM
would
stuff,
leave to go to like art,
I'm
like,
sure.
the arts, like whether it's like singing, dancing, acting,
Juilliard,
music,
or whatever it is.
Oh, yeah, right. So the idea of
right.
specializing in something in a different educational environment is so not new.
Yeah.
But the amount of it that's available for sports now is, it's happening fast.
It's different. Right? I mean, listen, it's no different than sending your kid, to a private school for academics, right? I don't think, right? I mean, you're just going to a different type of school, right? People that used to send their kids to private school were hopefully looking for maybe a different type of education than they were getting in public, right? Is that fair?
Yeah.
Well,
I think so. And I also think like with technology and the way things have changed and like certainly COVID helped push like a remote learning, online learning culture, which I'm not saying is a good substitute for like in-person learning, or maybe it is. I've never done it, but I think that it's opened up a lot of doors and created some new options that are very good for a lot of kids.
Yes. It's funny, being, as a child myself, having ADHD, and now my kid has it, unfortunately. I had a very hard time sitting still in a classroom setting. Right. So one of the reasons, and Dominic has that as well. I mean, we went to see Dominic in kindergarten. He was like upside down in his chair. And my mother tells me a story of when they went to see me at MKA, when I was in kindergarten or first grade. I was like upside down in my chair at Montclair Kimberly. My dad's like, so what the fuck's going on? So it's very similar. So the apple doesn't fall far from the tree in that respect, right? So I can just speak for my child. My child was, I don't want to say struggling in the early grades, but like he had a hard time paying attention, right? So when COVID hit, and every kid is different, right? You need to do what's right for your child and your family. So when COVID hit and I saw that he only needed 3 hours a day of academics, I was like, what the fuck, right? So Nancy and I decided to go. And I wanted socialization too, right? Like I didn't want my kid to just be like sitting home for half the day, like doing online, right? Like that bothered me. So we moved him to we moved him to X Hockey Academy in Bridgewater where the Rockets play. And Dominic went to school there, and they were with their peers, and part of what I liked was it was online schooling. We did Laurel Springs. And Laurel Springs is an accredited school. If you guys look up, the academics are really good, and you can make them as rigorous as you want, which is awesome. So I really liked the academics for Laurel Springs, but the kids got on the ice in the morning. They got off the ice, they did off ice, and then they went to the classroom. Okay. And there was a classroom with a teacher, like a real teacher. Right. So I liked that. I liked the socialization. I liked that he was still in a classroom. I would not have been okay with Dominic. And some kids did this. Some kids went to the ice in the morning, then they went to the off ice, and then they went home and did their online schooling by themselves. That I was not okay with. Right. I wanted socialization. I wanted academics. And we did that from 4th, 5th, 6th, and 7th, and then brought Dominic back to now he's going to that Breakaway Academy, where again, the academics are a big thing. And instead of doing hockey, they work out. They work on speed, agility, strength. Right. So again, my kid, for him to get his energy out in the morning and actually be able to sit down and do academics in the afternoon, it worked for my child.
Sure.
Right. Whereas my kid in a traditional public school, or even a traditional private school where he would just have to sit at a desk all day long was not good for my kid at the early ages. He's gotten better as he's gotten older. But still, he still has a tough time, even at pre-C. Not tough, but it's not as easy. He really has to focus on focusing.
Sure, but he's capable of like self-regulating and
now
doing the thing now.
As a 13-year-old, just turning 14, yes. So that's so we're talking about non-traditional schooling, talking about the Breakaway Academy. I understand why some parents are gravitating away from public schools and they're gravitating towards some of these academies.
Yeah, one of the things that keeps on going through my mind with that, and like those are such interesting years for kids because they start getting exposed to a lot of different things. And I'll never forget there was a family, a mom on one of Otto's teams when they were much younger. I don't know, 8, 9, and much younger. They're not even that old to begin with, but a few years ago.
I understand.
And
I know what you mean.
And she was just talking about, we were talking about the craziness of hockey and like, all the travel and the this and the that and, the extra practice, the extra clinics and lessons and whatever. And she was just saying, listen, if there's one thing I want to get out of my kids playing sports is that it keeps them away from like, certain
dumb
crowds
shit.
of people, like
100%.
Stupid street stuff. Like it keeps them out of trouble.
Absolutely.
And when I think about that and my own personal experience of playing ice hockey and not having many hockey players around that were taking it seriously, or, I felt like I was a little isolated. And now that there's an opportunity where kids can, and look, when I went to high school and then when I went to college, like sports became a thing of the past. And then like I was catching up on like, the social things that I missed out on early in high school because I was, playing hockey. So I think that if there's opportunities also for kids to be in environments that are very positive from like a physical fitness perspective, from like, the old expression, show me your 5 closest friends and I'll show you your future.
Show you your future. Yeah.
And like there's a built-in governor from, to an extent, because you never know who, but there's,
of course,
there's not these like group of like kind of, it's harder to fall into like the wrong
with
crowd.
When
you're surrounded by kids who are taking athletics.
Like-minded, driven.
100%. So that part of it is like really appealing to me, certainly during these younger ages. Because things are happening younger and younger and just what they're getting exposed to. And, look, it doesn't mean
social media, Scott. I mean, it's, and I'm not saying social media is bad. Do not get me wrong. I know that like, it's a kind of a hot topic in the media these days where it's being banned in a bunch of places, I think, don't get me wrong. Otto does not have a phone yet. Dominic just got one this last year. He needed it for the Train Heroic app at Breakaway, so we were kind of like forced to get him a phone, or he probably still would not have one yet, right? But I think that as a parent, you have to monitor your kid's phone. You just have to, like So I send Dominic a lot of good stuff on social media because there's a lot of positive that comes out of it, right? But like you said, as a parent, you need to pay attention to your kid, right? And it keeps them off of that shit if humanly possible, off the video games, off the social media, or off not falling with like not to say a bad group, because I don't want to call any kids bad, but the wrong crowd if possible, right?
Yeah. Well, I mean, the social media aspect, we haven't really crossed that bridge yet, but I do know that like, there's plenty of kids that Otto hangs out with that whether or not they have social media, I'm not sure. But in terms of like, unlimited access to the internet, like on their phones whenever. I mean, when Otto hangs out with kids that have phones that are, they can use them for whatever, I know they're sitting there scrolling through YouTube and scrolling through other things. And
of course they are.
yeah, look, I have a hard time stopping it myself often, and a lot of times I say, I wish I didn't even have a smartphone. I'd rather go back to a dumb phone because it's so easy to get distracted. And that's part of my beef with like at least in our school district.
With anything.
Yeah, but like the kids now, like, look, they have their own Chromebooks. At least in it's also, I just know Otto's experience so far. Like they keep them over the summer. They don't have to return them if they're coming back to the school. There's no parental controls on their school issued computers. Like, do they monitor for like porn and like violent criminal websites? Probably.
There has to be blockers for that, buddy.
For sure. But like my
kid,
you
go to any corporation, there's blockers on all that stuff.
Okay,
there has to be in a school.
Yes, but like they go to YouTube and they can just scroll through, like he can watch mountain biking all class while he's sitting in class because the kids are allowed to use their computers during. And it's crazy that for adults have a hard time going on to technology and not getting distracted. Yeah. Now you want like a developing mind who would probably not rather be for some of them, don't want to even be in the classroom to begin with, and you give them the opportunity to like look on the internet all class.
So
like they're already using ChatGPT in 6th grade, 7th grade. And it's like, whoa.
Yeah. Like any technology.
Like what about the fundamentals? Like you should learn how to read and 100%. Write and like legibly.
That's a given. That's a given. There's no question about that. That shit's a given. My thoughts are on listen, like any technology, you're going to have your goods and your bads, right? So as a parent, you have to monitor because you're the parent. You have to monitor this stuff, right? And as staff in a school, they have to monitor this stuff. Like you can't just give a kid a Chromebook and say like, have at it. Like there has to be what
happens.
Well, that can't happen. There has to be curbs, right? There has to be, because there's a lot of really good things that come out of social media as well. There's a lot of really good things that come out of technology. I mean, ChatGPT. I mean, now, do you remember when you had to like research, anything for like a project back in the day? You had to go to the library, you had to look for an encyclopedia or whatever it was, right? Nowadays it's at your fingertips.
And that's part of the problem, though, at least in my opinion. And I understand the world is changing. Like our kids do not need to go to like an Encyclopedia Britannica and go to like volume 17 to figure out
to look up
where in the world is like
Carmen Sandiego,
Kathmandu, right? Like, yeah, or Carmen Sandiego. I just there's part of me that just like kids, they're cheated in some ways on like how to negotiate learning. Right? Like if it's just all kind of done for you and presented on a platter where you have to consume the information.
It's not that it's done for you. It's just more accessible. Like if you're, do you know how, I have to tell you, Dominic, somebody said something the other day and Dominic just looked it up. I'll give you a perfect, for instance. Nancy and I were just walking the Princeton campus this morning before you and I got on here. Okay. And we came across this building. Okay. And it said like, and it's just this fucking huge building toward the back of Princeton's campus. Actually not toward the back, it's kind of in the middle. And I was like, it looked like a huge home, right? It was really cool. And I was like, what the fuck is this? Mm-hmm. Back in the day, I would have had to find somebody and ask them what it is. And there's a ton of history on Princeton's campus, right? So what I did was I walked up to it and there was a plaque on it that said Prospect Hall, Prospect House, Prospect Hall. I forgot what it was, but I think it was Prospect House. So I was like, and I said to Nancy, I'm like, this had to have been like the president's house at one point in time, right? Something like that. So I open up ChatGPT or Claude, and just pick your AI browser, right? And I was like, what is Prospect House? Right. And it came back on Princeton's campus and it came back with this entire history of the Prospect House. It was where the president used to stay. Woodrow Wilson, when he was the president of Princeton, stayed there. And so my point is that the access people have to information is so vast these days and it's so easy to get, which is great for learning. right? For kids to learn. I learned what the Prospect House was in a second, Scott. It was phenomenal.
Right.
So that part, our children are beyond lucky, because back in the day when you and I were like 8, if I was walking with my parents on the Princeton campus and I wasn't sure what that was, I would have had to find somebody to ask them. Or
Right.
actually, I don't even know how, if I didn't find anybody to ask them, I would have had to go. I don't even know if the Prospect House would have been in an Encyclopedia Britannica back in the day, right? So the access is wonderful, but it's the parents that have to limit, because there's a lot of good that comes out of this. But as a parent, you have to limit what your kids can and can't access. You're never going to be able to stop it all, right? But that's your job as a parent, to then make your children understand that there's a lot of shit that you're going to come across too, and you need to kind of not pay attention to it. And as a parent, you need to stay on your kids, because it's really hard for a 9, 10, 11, 12, 14-year-old to be disciplined. So that it's your job as a parent to kind of monitor that.
Right.
And teach them right from wrong.
Okay, and I don't disagree with anything that you just said. One thing that came to mind though is that like one of the downsides is the lack of socializing that happens, because you don't need to talk to anyone to communicate pretty much anything nowadays.
That's the parent's job.
But you're not with your kids all the time, especially once they have phones. Anyway, you and I were even talking about like how, like, or maybe it was my wife, just like how rare it is that people pick up the phone and call people anymore, right? Like, that's the thing. But what I was going to say was, listen, you're good about picking up the phone and calling people, but I do think it's a massive problem that like kids don't talk to one another. They don't have conversations and look people in the eyes. Like, you hear a lot of people that are like our age, talking about younger generations and how the way like some of them are much more introverted, and they don't have to like practice not being, you know what I'm saying.
Yes. Yes. If you want to, you could just stay in a shell and be fine. You know?
But the last thing I wanted just to say about this was that, it's the parents' responsibility, to police what their kids are doing, but we have
socialize your child.
But listen, we have safeguards on our children's devices, but their school issued devices don't have certain safeguards.
That's shocking.
So like, we don't let the kids. So when my son is sitting on his computer doing homework on the couch, when I can't see his screen, but I see his fingers moving quickly, toggling between the game he's playing on one browser and like his work that's on another browser, it like creates a whole nother level of like annoyance. That's like, okay, now you have to sit where I can see what's on your screen, and it's just, I don't know. I've got a lot of problems with these school issued electronic devices and the lack of, or the freedom with which the kids have to use them whenever they want in school or out of school. It's just, I'm not a fan right now.
Well, listen, so, it's not, I can't speak to that because Dominic doesn't have a school issued. All the kids have their own MacBooks or iPads or whatever they use for school. So we obviously can put curbs on that, but we have lots of conversations with Dominic about, right, wrong, morals, what you should be doing, what you shouldn't be doing, So, you, as a parent, you have to hope that in this, highly driven age of technology, and it's changing ever so rapidly, that you have taught your kid the right way, and hopefully that they know to kind of stay away from the things that they need to stay away from.
Right.
Hard to do, right? Very hard to do. Easy to say, hard to do. But that's why as a parent, it's your job to parent.
Yeah, but you also have to keep up with all this shit too as a parent. How many adults do you know that don't know how to fucking use ChatGPT?
100%. Listen, it's daunting. It is not the path of least resistance for parenting. It's made parenting so much more, I don't say intense or more difficult, right, than it probably was when we were kids and our parents were parenting us. Because at that time, you just went out in the front yard and you hung out with your buddies on the street, and you came in when it got dark. Right. So again, it's a little different these days, but as a parent, it's your job to monitor your kids and what they're seeing, because again, you're the parent, right? And you need to be on top of your kids. I know it's difficult. I know it's not easy. I know it's an extra 5, 6, 7 steps, but as a parent, it's your job to raise good human beings. And that's part of your job description right now, whether you like it or not, and it's your job as a parent to socialize your kids which is why, listen, our kids are playing ice hockey. They're out there socializing. They're at camps. Like, I would not be okay by letting my kids sit inside on a computer all day long.
Right.
I wouldn't be okay with it. My kid has a limit on video games, right? I don't like video games at all. But I also realize that my kid and kids in general need downtime.
Without a doubt.
That's important stuff for them to unwind. So when Dominic's done with homework and working out and doing whatever he needs to do for the day, he has an hour and a half to unwind, to do whatever he wants to do at that time. Right? So again, you have to monitor. You have to watch your kids. Because if you're not doing it, nobody's doing it.
Right. All right. Well, listen, I agree with you. And I think we're getting a little long here. So I was thinking about wrapping this one up. I also have to go to the doctor.
Yeah, that's right.
And head out shortly. But anyhow.
Yeah.
Good stuff, dude.
Likewise,
good combo.
pal.
Great meeting Danielle, learning more about Mid Fairfield.
She's great.
Great being around the Princeton campus. Most smile. If you haven't donated and you still want to, there's still an opportunity. Go to our Instagram. You can find the link in the bio. Click it. You can see how to donate. Get your children involved in shooting for a cure. That's still going on. Again, big thank you to all the listeners for checking us out, listening, sharing the show, all the above.
Really, I think we're in 101 countries now, buddy.
101.
And thank you to all of you, because you guys all made that possible. So thank you. We will keep delivering, hopefully, awesome content. You guys, thank you. Like Scott said, for subscribing, sharing, checking us on social media. Go check out, like Scott said, the Memorial Sloan Kettering link in our bio. Please donate if you can. Even $1 is helpful. This has been a ride, bud, and it's just getting started.
That's it, buddy. Well, listen, until the next episode, may you have a wonderful day. May your Dominic play and excellent ice hockey.
Otto as well.
Well, you can give me the 411 on that when you see him later.
Well, you'll be down here tomorrow for us to do a little recording from Princeton. So
let's go.
It'll be fun.
All right, dude. Have a good afternoon. I'll talk to you later, dude.
All right. See you, pal.
Peace.
Later.